All right, guys, today on Organic Conversations, we have Alex Conley. I'm super stoked, and honestly, I kind of want to get right into it, man. I saw that at age 4, you were diagnosed with leukemia. Can you go upon that and just kind of your life journey to here today?
Yeah, absolutely. It was 3 weeks before my 4th birthday, and it got to the point where I was so sick and weak that I couldn't even get up and walk to the bathroom anymore.
Wow.
And so in that moment, my parents had, taken me to the doctor a few different times, and those motherly instincts were kicking in with my mom where she knew something was wrong and kept taking me back to the doctor, and they kept turning her away, just saying like, oh, it's a virus. Let's try antibiotics. Let's try this.
Wow.
And it just like kind of, nothing was working. My older sister also was sick, but she ended up just getting over it, and I just never did. And so it was like weeks went on, close to like a month, and then finally my mom took me in one last final time and demanded them to do blood work.
Okay.
And then they called her the next morning and were like, you need to rush him to the hospital now.
Wow.
And so they kind of knew that it was, that diagnosis, but they didn't give it to her over the phone. They just said, you should take him in.
Okay.
Went into the hospital, and funny enough, the doctor that like continued to turn her away felt so bad once he saw my blood work that he was the one that came in and gave the diagnosis and apologized to her and said like, kind of, you were right. And so in that moment, and everything happened so fast where it was like that day they were like, we need to make some decisions. And, my parents chose the route that was the best at the time, which was standard of care, which, I was just a little boy. They wanted to do everything they could to save me.
Yeah.
And so that day they injected chemo right into my spine. Wow. And started there. And I went on to do almost 4 years, 3.5 years of chemotherapy. Really hard on the body.
4.5 years?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, dude.
Yep. And I wasn't cancer free until the age of 12. So from the ages of 4 until 12, I was really, battling cancer, different treatments, majority of it chemo, different prednisone, steroids, all of it. So I just endured, had a really unique, different childhood.
I mean, how was that, dude? You were probably just in and out of the hospital, right? Couldn't have like normal social time with other kids and whatnot, like
all the time. Yeah. My teachers would bring schoolwork into me so I wouldn't get behind. So I was, spent definitely a lot of time in the hospital. Made friends in the hospital, other kids that were going through treatment and stuff. Like, that we did the best we could to make it normal. And it was, for me, it was like my new normal. Like I had other kids that were going through it, and we'd play video games together in the hospital and play together there and just kind of hang out. And like my parents are the best, dude. Like they gave me the most normal life that they could have,
Did you ever feel like you weren't going to get out? Like years, dude. That's like years every single, like I couldn't imagine, bro. Like, did you feel like it was ever going to resolve?
Yeah, it just was like my new normal. Looking back, man, this was really unique. It was my mom just probably 2 years ago. Actually, it was even last year. Yeah, because I was 30. It was like my 30th birthday.
Okay.
She gifted me the greatest gift I've ever had in my entire life, and she gave me her journal.
Whoa.
And all about like what she went through and what we went through together as a family.
Yeah.
And seeing her journal made me realize like how powerful of a perspective they had, and that they gave that gift to me. And so in the journal, when she gave it to me, like what I noticed is she never once, and this is like her personal journal.
Yeah.
She never once said like, man, I can't believe this is fucking happening to us, or like anything like that.
What was it like then? Like what was her perspective like?
Yeah, it was basically the exact opposite, that like, you're so strong. Like she would write like that was the way that she would end every single journal entry. It makes me emotional, because she would say, you are so brave, my little son. Wow. And that was like the words that she would always close out with, was that. Damn. And when she gave that to me, I kind of asked why she hadn't given it to me before. And she's like, I don't know. I just didn't know if there was a right time, or if it would benefit you, or like, resurface things. But she gave it to me. And when she did, my dad got really emotional, and he never gets emotional. He's not like that.
Yeah.
And he got really emotional, and he like let me in on kind of their mindset around it. And he said that like when I was diagnosed, they had a conversation that they were never going to let me see them scared. And so he like knew the power of that mindset medicine.
Yeah.
And I feel like they just gifted that to me, to where like, to answer your question of like, did I ever think I maybe wasn't going to get out of it? Like, no, like we were always like knew that it was just like going to get through it and do everything that we had, because my parents had that mindset.
Yeah, when you're like replaying it to me, you seem like you had a confidence about it that you're gonna get through, and like I feel like a lot of people just they kind of like either give up or they're extremely like scared. I'm sure you're scared, but like having your parents to support you in that way is so freaking cool. Wow, what a unique like perspective. That's not not common.
No, it was amazing, and like on top of that, like I think about this now that I'm older and have the awareness on it and stuff, and now that I know the importance of that like mindset medicine,
Yeah,
like how we treat cancer and disease for children is way different than how we treat adults. Like with
how so?
adults, what do? Like the first thing we do is like give them a diagnosis.
Okay.
That's just like already like here's what you have, and it's like almost like an identity attack on them, so like they now resonate with like I am my diagnosis.
Oh.
And like we know the power of that, right? Like the placebo is the most powerful drug in the world of all time. And so with kids, like what I was always told is they would always tell me to like play, and laughter is the best medicine, and it was like always that, and like so much love and encouragement and just kind of like nothing but that.
Right.
And I just realized there's so much power in that, to where like I just wasn't sitting there like dooming and ruminating over that, because it was just like, this is what it is, and we're going to make the most of it, and we're going to laugh, and we're going to play, and we're going to love. And like with adults, I feel like we don't treat people like that. We just give them like, they need to know how it is. And like, sure, maybe to a certain extent, but we don't need to like,
It's like so brash. Like what a beautiful life lesson that is to like, come at it at a higher angle and like still laugh and play. Like as adults, that goes out the window as soon as we get out of middle school, maybe even elementary school. It's like, oh, life is serious. Like here, take on this like extremely brash like society. Like good luck. Like I think this is lightly off topic, but like for me with all my friends, we play. Like we have like a lot of fun together. It's like we try to take the seriousness out of adulthood. There's all this craziness
serious
happening.
enough.
Yeah, it's all serious. Like, come on, guys. Like, let's have a little fun. And like, I love that about my friends, that we can play and have like, my inner child comes out, which I love that. It's so fun. But to bring it back to your point, like your perspective is everything with that, and just making light of the situation, not attacking an identity to that. Like, wow, that's way different from an adult, label versus like the kids. Damn. So my little brother, Nate, he battled with seizures for quite a long time, and he had brain surgery, and he, lucky enough, was in a children's hospital going through a lot of this. And so the child next to him, he like connected with a lot and like really brought Nate out of his sorrows and like the harshness of what he's going through. Cause I mean, it's like kind of a life or death situation. Like you don't know if you're going to make it out of the surgery. And like the kid next to him in a wheelchair all his life has never walked one day. And he's like smiling and laughing and playing and having fun. And like that eventually like that bled onto Nate for sure. Like the first couple of days, he was like, God, this kid's so annoying, like blah, blah.
How old was he?
I don't remember. I want to say 12-ish.
What about your brother at the time?
18.
Okay.
I think. Yeah. So, and like eventually it just kind of like made him crack and like loosen up, and like he started like playing with him and talking with him, and like totally changed his perspective and the lightness around the situation. And it really helped him a lot. So cool. Yeah. Dude, something that you posted recently actually was the placebo effect of how, I've seen this actually, the studies of where they'll go into, let's say a group of 20 people and they all have ACL issues.
Yep.
And 10 of them get actually like the ACL repaired, and 10 of them just get the incision and it looks like they got repaired. And then all 20 of them go to rehab, and all 20 of them successfully have a rehabilitated ACL after months. But only half of them had the actual work done. So like that goes to show like that placebo effect, that mentality, that perspective has everything to do, not everything, but a lot of healing, and you spoke upon that, which is really cool.
And it's why we have to account for it in every single clinical trial. Like if you're doing it the right way, it should be like double-blinded, placebo, randomized controlled trial. Like that's why that is the gold standard, is to measure something against a placebo.
Yeah.
Because we know, I mean, literally the best drug of all time, the most effective, efficient drug of all time is the placebo. Like it shows on average above 30% effectiveness in like every single trial, just because we're giving someone a sugar pill and they think it's the actual thing. And like, that's how powerful the medicine is in between our ears. And that's why like the nocebo is also powerful, of like telling someone you only have 6 months to live, or giving them like this really detrimental diagnosis. Like, it's the opposite of the placebo. It's the nocebo effect. And
so kind of like the negative.
The negative.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. And even that's so powerful, where there's crazy stories about this guy that basically he got locked into a freezer one time, like a, behind at work or whatever,
like a box freezer,
box freezer type thing.
In.
Yeah, walk-in freezer. Okay. Got locked in there, was stuck in there overnight, and they came the next morning, found him, he was dead, and they were like, how did he die? Because the freezer was actually broke. It was like 50-something degrees. It wasn't that cold. So they were like, he shouldn't have actually died, but he was like, oh my gosh, I'm stuck in here. Whoa. I'm going to die. And he gave himself his heart shut down. He had heart failure. So like, every physiological response of freezing to death was there, even though he shouldn't have actually done it. So like, the nocebo is just as powerful, right? And we all, like, an example that everyone can relate to is like, you think a thought that gives you anxiety. So you have just now done something in your brain to think something that's probably not even true or going to happen. And you have this crazy physiological response in your body. So like, everyone knows the nocebo, right? Where you just even think something and all of a sudden your heart starts racing. So like, why do we not try to consciously do the opposite and like take advantage of the placebo?
Yeah. It's definitely tough. That's something that like a lot of my childhood negative self-talk, and it's taken me a long time to kind of like mentally unravel that, and then layer on positive self-talk on top of that. And I think it's really like special, and just it seems funny, but like affirmations, whether writing it down or doing it in the mirror or listening to a 5-minute guided meditation that has that in it, it's so important. I think, especially nowadays, like there's so much like negativity in the world, and I feel like kids especially, it's like being bombarded into their brain, and it's just not okay. So I totally relate to that, like the placebo and nocebo, because it's like you kind of can create your own perspective, like your own life. Like I could be looking into this backyard, and it's like it could be the greatest backyard in the world, or I can think of, oh, it's hell outside, whatever. But wow, that is really crazy. That's really cool. I love that. Okay, so something that I also saw was disease doesn't really appear out of nowhere. Disease it doesn't just turn on. And I would love to hear more of your perspective on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that has been the mindset adopted by so many people, is like, unfortunately, we're all just on a path, and eventually everyone just kind of gets disease, and that's what happens when we age, because that's what we look around and what we see as normal. And like, for me, I always try to challenge people on that. And like, just because something is common doesn't mean it's normal. And disease doesn't just like happen out of nowhere. And the best way that I can describe that is like, there will be maybe some sort of event that happened, or a toxic accumulation of things, And so disease can manifest in the body in so many different ways, whether it is like a traumatic event that happened, right? Like, so maybe you had something traumatic that happened, and then now that feeling from that is kind of stuck in your body, and that can manifest as disease. If we think about like what disease is, it's like the feeling of uneasiness, right? Like dis-ease, like it's a feeling of uneasiness. And so that can manifest as disease, is from a trauma and a traumatic event that happened.
Right.
But what we see most commonly with disease in today's world is like chronic disease. I mean, even the name chronic is like, forever.
Debilitating.
Right. And and it's also like, how do we think chronic exists happen? It's because of like chronic behavior, so it's like you continuously choose to eat the wrong foods over and over and over again, or you continuously are exposed to toxins in your environment over and over and over again, and it just like accumulates, and your body is probably constantly trying to tell you things, but like none of us have the awareness of how to listen to the body. And the best way to describe that, I heard this saying, it's not mine, but it's like the best, is that like you will hear the whispers, and if you don't listen to the whispers, you'll be forced to hear the screams. And so that's like disease. Like, it's like there's a constant whisper that will happen throughout your body where like you feel inflamed, your gut's off, your bowel movements are off. Like those are all the examples. Or you feel like even when you're
hip
around,
pinch or whatever.
yeah, totally.
Yeah,
or
knee
even,
pain. Yeah.
yeah, or even on the emotional side, like if you're like around someone that just like their energy is off, or you're in like this relationship that you feel is kind of like a little bit toxic, and your body kind of just like knows, and your body will tell you that, but we continuously to like, continuously choose otherwise. And so it's the same thing of all different disease will just manifest in different ways, but it's just like the chronic accumulation of something over and over and over. And then all of a sudden people's like, oh man, I got hit with this thing. It happened out of nowhere. But it's like your body's been trying to tell you forever.
Yeah. I think that's part of the American society that we live in, with just like a lot of people are dependent on the system. So, let's say they have like acid reflux, so they'll take Tums every time they eat food or whatever, but they don't realize the reason why they took Tums is because their gut's been off for years and they have H. pylori or ulcers developing. And then, now instead of Tums, now they're having to have their like stomach worked on, and then it just keeps on going down the line, but they're still eating that crappy food and it's compounding. It's kind of sad, to be honest. So
it's very sad, yeah. And I think the best thing that we can do to like give people some tangible things on like what to work on is like the art of learning how to listen to your body is like the best thing that people will ever be able to do. So like my number one piece of advice to people if they want to change their life and change their health is that your symptoms are actually your saviors. And we have done the opposite in our society where we make the symptoms the enemy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And again, and symptoms aren't just physical, like it's emotional too. It's like suppress the emotion.
Yeah.
Don't feel the emotion, or it's a physical symptom of inflammation in your gut, and like, continue to just do what you're doing. You're going to continue to feel that way. But like, yeah, your symptoms are actually your saviors, and symptoms are just language of the body. So it's just your body trying to tell you something.
Yeah.
So like that is the very thing that you've actually been waiting for, is the symptom.
Yeah, having pain or whatever, that symptom arising is not normal. Like, we normalize it in society because there's always a prescription or always a quick fix for it, whether it's Tums or, Tylenol, any over-the-counter drug, you name it. It's like these big pharma companies are preying on these symptoms. Like, oh, you have this symptom? Well, we got a drug for you, It's like, but in reality, it's your body saying, oh, you have this knee pain because your ankle mobility is off and you haven't, done any hip mobility lately and blah, 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 and it stems from somewhere. Like, we should, majority of the time, feel pretty pain-free. If there's any sort of pain or whatnot, it's your body yelling at you to fix whatever the heck it is.
Yeah.
And usually the fix is not in a pill.
Dude, the two things that we've been sold on are comfort and convenience. So, like, convenience, like packaged foods, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's where, like, the processed food epidemic completely took over, is because like moms and, it was like sold to busy moms. Like, you don't have time to cook anymore. You can go out and work and make more money as a parent. And so like, have your kids just microwave this meal. And that was like convenience, right? Or like take the elevator and the escalator instead of the stairs, like convenience. And so it's like convenience kills. We know that. And then also like comfort, like anytime we get any sort of little pain, like pop this. Anytime we don't want to feel your emotions, pop this, run, like look the other way. So it's like really those are the two biggest killers, is like the comfort and the convenience. If we can do the opposite of those things, that's where the magic happens.
I'll add another C in there, complacency. Because, in the Marine Corps, like complacency kills because, if you're going on a mission and you're walking a path and you don't happen to see that little red wire that's sticking out of the sand, the whole squad's dead. Complacency, you got complacent. You're not, you're not there. So complacency, convenience, comfort, all three of those things are plaguing society. And that's what like society is going to. They just want us comfortable so we can be in the system. They want us on Netflix all day. They want us on DoorDash. They, like everything to make us reliant on the system. It's super sad. It's crazy. Yeah. And, I get DoorDash sometimes and all that. Groceries, not freaking Wendy's or any bullshit like that. Yeah. But, it's getting out of our comfort zone in a voluntarily way. Like, let's say going to the gym, going to Pilates, doing like these little things that will allow us to live a much more freeing life. Versus if we're always in the comfort, that's going to end someday. There's going to be a point in time where your body is like, oh, we didn't work out for 20 years. You're going to have hip surgery because now you just fell over a little 3-inch hill that your body couldn't take. You know, it's pretty
such
crazy.
a weird backwards thing that like the best way to sum that up is like the harder the harder of things that you do, the easier your life gets. It's a really weird like conundrum that happens because if you just constantly take like the easy route and choose convenience and choose comfort and any of that, it's like you're actually making your life harder.
Yes.
But like if you choose the path that's probably maybe a little bit more time consuming and takes a little bit, you know, more time and love and effort, you know, like cooking meals at home and learning how to read the ingredient labels and like doing all the shit that's like, dang, it's annoying that I have to do this.
Right.
Because it's not convenient. But that's actually the very thing that's going to get you to where you want to go and make your life better.
Great way to put it, dude. And how far have we come, dude? Like, it wasn't but 20, 30, 40 years ago. Our great-grandparents, like, dude, we were, you know, the convenience, man. It's just sad, bro. Like, we used to hunt all our food and, you know, like, having to go find water and stuff. And now it's like, oh, my God, if my food isn't delivered in 5 minutes, I'm going to freak out. You know, it's so funny how crazy society has flipped. And on that note, you also posted about saying about 50% of Americans will get cancer at some point in their life. And it's easy to say, fuck cancer, but it's harder to say, fuck processed food, synthetic fragrances, plastic, cleaning supplies, antiperspirant deodorant, 1,4-dioxane laundry detergent, nonstick pans, alcohol. We can keep going. We could build a essay of a list with this, but it's a lot harder for us as Americans that have been pushed with all this marketing to say, oh, these little toxic things add up and accumulate in our body. And like, yeah, we can all get against saying fuck cancer, but it's a lot harder to kind of non-toxify our life, if you will.
Yeah, it's to me, I just recognize like when I made that post, I was like, man, I recognize how many people hate this disease. And to your point, like
we can all get behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Half of us will have it now. I mean, that's just like the statistic, right? And it's so easy when someone gets cancer to just blame cancer of like, damn, this is just a horrible disease. And like this is like coming from the ultimate place of love. I hope people can feel that because like I've had cancer, you know, I've been through it. I know how shitty it is. And that's why I'm hoping to like raise a little bit more awareness on like how much we can do to not get cancer, you know, because it's so easy for people to just like rally behind someone when they get cancer and be like, fuck cancer, but not actually look into like, why did this maybe happen in the first place? Because even like if you go look at, you know, the NIH and the American Cancer Society and like these big organizations that are doing cancer research and that people will point to for statistics, it's like you know, there's probably like 30 to 40% on average of cancer is fully preventable from lifestyle.
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, do you think it just happens by happenstance or, you know, is it self-inflicted? You know, I wonder like what the ratio of that is.
Yeah, we know how much of it. I mean, even just like going back from history, right? We saw such a massive increase in cancer in certain years, you know?
Yeah, when did it begin to like ramp up? Obviously, we haven't been like tracking it for hundreds of years, but like...
I think really, really when it ramped up is probably the 90s is really when things started to take off. And there's some interesting like correlative information around the exposure of glyphosate and specifically around blood cancers. So I can speak to that a little bit about like, you know, one of the top questions that people ask me is like, why do you think you got cancer? You know? And I had never thought about it until recent years. And then so I did some digging and kind of like looked into it, and we saw this really big, massive increase of blood cancers like leukemia and lymphoma in the late 90s, early 2000s. And it was in the early 90s to mid 90s is when we got approval for glyphosate to be sprayed directly on our food. Wow. So that was like the big thing that changed then. And then all of a sudden, like in every hospital across the country, we're seeing these like massive increases of autoimmune conditions. So all of a sudden women started coming in with like fibromyalgia, which like we have a diagnosis for fibromyalgia now, but really what it is, they're like, I have pain throughout my entire body and like inflammation throughout my entire body. And I don't know what it is. And so we just kind of gave this diagnosis, but we saw like that became like the number one complaint of women in hospitals in like the late 90s, early 2000s. We saw a massive increase of blood cancers like leukemia and lymphoma. So I think there's no doubt that, you know, glyphosate had a play to this massive increase in those cancers specifically, and we're still dealing with it. Like, like Bayer Monsanto is in the middle of a $16 billion payout again when they've already paid
16.
out billions and billions.
I thought it was 7. Wow.
Is it? Maybe that's the total. So they've paid out 16 in total already.
Billion.
Billions.
Billion. That's insane.
Yeah.
And we just allow it to keep happening. Yeah, like, oh, it's been proven that glyphosate has basically killed people, but yet our American government is going to allow it because of money.
Yeah.
Insane. It's sad, bro.
It's really sad. Like, it honestly breaks my heart just because I have, like, you know, personally dealt with that.
Yeah.
And again, so, like, what I think, again, I don't think that cancer is just like this. It's like any other disease where it's like, do I think it's just like this one specific thing that caused it? No, it's probably like, you know, your body breaks down, your immune system breaks down over time, and then, like, disease is opportunistic. So is cancer. So, like, your body becomes in a weak, fragile state, and then it's, you know, has opportunity to take over. And I think oftentimes that's what we see in cancer. And I think so much of cancer is also emotional.
The label can be kind of.
No, like even like causing cancer of like people like in chronic stress.
Or,
right?
Or like stuffing trauma
exactly,
down. Okay.
100%. Wow. Yeah. I think that we're going to learn that more and more, where it's interesting because like what cancer cells do and how they behave is like they go isolate, right? So like cancer cells go isolate and then they divide, and then they like kind of get together and try to like divide and conquer, but it starts as like a really lonely, isolated cell. And I almost think that's like a mirror and a reflection of our society, and maybe why we're also seeing this big rise of cancer is because of that perspective of just, if we look how it happens and occurs at the cellular level, seems kind of like almost how it is on a macro level, where it's like this isolation.
That's interesting. Do you think it's easier to beat cancer when it is isolated like that? If you were to somehow like find out, or maybe even let's say you've been like holding trauma in, and you know you start to develop cancer in maybe your lungs or throat or something. But this is all obviously like metaphorically speaking. But if you were to finally release that and get that out, do you think that isolated cancer has an easier time being dealt outside of the body?
100%, dude. I believe that, like, with my whole heart, and I see it happen all the time. We see people heal from cancer naturally all the time. And people that are doing a lot of amazing work where, like, again, they just go treat it holistically, like the holistic beings that we are, and they do the deep emotional work to finally release things, you know, and they do a lot of detox, flushing, high dose, IVs of vitamin C. And so we see all of that stuff works really well with cancer treatments. And unfortunately, like, you know, we're not adopting any of those treatments in America. So people are oftentimes forced to go to Mexico or somewhere else to really do that type of work. But I know people in my local community, like in Boise, there was a woman that had ovarian cancer and, metastatic, spread throughout her body. They told her she's got 6 months to live, and like she found a natural doctor that she was willing to go do that with, and started going to therapy and releasing a lot of emotional trauma and work around that, and working on her lymph system and all that. And it took her about 16 months, and now she's completely cancer free. My uncle is going through treatment right now where he had breast cancer actually. And 3 of the 5 of my dad's siblings all had breast cancer. And so they kind of figured out it was environmental.
Really?
And they grew up in a small little town, and their house was built on an old like landmine, like trash, or landfill.
Yeah.
And so just a lot of toxins that they accumulated because they did genetic testing, and they're like, no, you guys don't have any of that. So they think it's environmental.
Isn't that a trip, dude?
So, yeah, it's crazy. But for my uncle, he opted, it came back for a second time metastatic, and he opted to go treat it naturally. And he reached out to me, and I've been helping him out. And same thing, they told me he had like maybe 6 months to a year to live, and his tumors have shrunk by up to 75% from just doing natural holistic treatments. Yeah.
Let's talk about that, because I know, let's just say, you know, you're in the hospital and you tell your doctor that you want to treat it naturally. A lot of times they kind of like shame you for that, right?
Goes back to how we treat adults. Is like they'll just straight up tell you you're going to die.
Wow.
Like, they'll just tell you that, and then they put that in your head, you know? And it's just like, it's such a different way, because like in Chinese medicine and other different types of medicine, you know, they oftentimes won't even give you like a diagnosis because they don't want to put that label on you, and they just go to work with like treating the body and get the body back into harmony where it's supposed to be. And then like if you're in harmony, like again, disease just like doesn't exist for the most part.
Yeah, that was a big thing, Craig, that I had on recently. Yeah, just saying like when he wanted to try and treat it naturally, like, dude, he got a lot of like shame and guilt trips from the doctors and like basically saying that you're going to die. So messed up, dude. Like so sad. I know that's a big thing with women and doing like home births. They're like, oh, your child's going to die and not come out right or whatever. Like so much fear mongering with that.
Yeah.
I want to go back to the point of glyphosate because I know you mentioned it too. Like autoimmune issues are extremely on the rise, more than they've ever been in our human history. And I think a lot of that does have to do with glyphosate because that messes with our gut. I mean, it essentially, glyphosate is an antibiotic, meaning anti-life, like killing life. And so when we ingest it and it goes into our gut, it's essentially killing a lot of our good, beneficial gut microbiome. And then, therefore, we can't digest gluten the same way. We can't digest a lot of different foods the same way. And Americans wonder why we can go to Italy, wherever in Europe, and eat all the pizza, all the bread we want. Well, one, they're using a different strain of wheat, but they're also not spraying anything really on their wheat as well. So pretty crazy. I mean, have you heard or noticed that with glyphosate and autoimmune being related?
Absolutely. I mean, that was another thing that happened is like autoimmune conditions weren't really a thing before like the 1990s.
Yeah.
And we really saw that big rise of them. I think a couple reasons. Definitely glyphosate is a huge one, like you mentioned, right? I mean, and if we break down kind of what autoimmune is, it's like your immune system is overreacting to something. And again, like we put it like a label as just like, this is bad. We need to stop this and shut it down.
Symptoms.
Yes.
Attack the symptoms. Yeah.
Exactly.
Suppress the symptoms. Yeah.
Right. But like, what is autoimmune? It's like your body is trying to save itself. It's trying to do everything it can to like save itself. So it's overreacting though for some reason. So we got to figure out like, why is it overreacting, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, glyphosate's a huge piece of that. The other big thing that I have seen recently is the majority, I don't know if I can give the exact statistic off the top of my head, but it's far more than 50% of all autoimmune conditions are women.
Interesting.
Yep. And so there's a really interesting phenomenon of that, just from an emotional, spiritual perspective.
Yeah, hit me. Why?
Women will do, like women are the backbone of families in our society, and they're the biggest givers and lovers, and they'll do everything besides maybe take care of themselves. And so they overgive to everyone else and then don't take care of themselves and their own heart and their own body. And then the body starts to abandon them because they have abandoned themselves.
Yeah, wow.
And so like coming back into the body and focusing on yourself, and oftentimes you can see autoimmune conditions, you know, get better, dissipate, things like that. I mean, there's even a powerful study too of just, you've maybe seen this one, but 10 days, all it took to like completely put autoimmune in remission was 10 days of eating a whole food organic diet.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. And
So I
that's
always tell people to start there. If you haven't tried that.
Yeah, 10 days. Come on, guys.
10 days.
10 days. You got this. You got this, guys.
All organic, so no glyphosate.
Yeah.
And only real food.
That's tough too, man, because the organic label now is starting to get more and more greenwashed, you know. There's certain organic pesticides that are almost just as bad as glyphosate.
Agree.
And it's sad, and I don't even want to like fear monger. I obviously just want to educate, but like this just goes back to like try to go to your local farmers market if you have one and talk to the farmers, see if they're spraying anything, all that kind of stuff. Because that's really where I see a majority of Americans can get a lot of their local produce and fruits and stuff.
Yeah, we overemphasize organic for sure, because whenever I do go to my local farmer's market, none of it's organic, but it's spray free. So they don't even like have to, because really organic now is just like, I'm going to pay for the label to be USDA certified. It's an organization that pays for a little sticker and stamp to be organic.
Right.
But like, what if it's regenerative? What if it's regeneratively farmed, but it's not organic because we didn't want to pay for the label? Like we have products like that.
Totally.
Where it's like, you know, regenerative. And we have it on regenerative land. But we're not going to pay for the organic label. Yeah,
because it's literally just a money suck, to be honest. Yeah, it's a greenwash thing. And obviously, you know, if you have the money, like opt for organic if you can, for sure, you know. And then I think the ultimate for most people is farmers market if they have it available to them. Yeah, it's sad, man. And it's so funny when I go to other countries, especially Central America, you know, everything is fucking organic. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's food. And dude, I like feel the best there for sure. Like none of the chicken is, you know, raised in a freaking box, you know, like the food is real food there. And it's the fruit, the taste of it, you can feel the extra nutrients like in the soil, and it just feeds my body so much more. I feel like the micronutrient profile is just so much more dense and all that. And that's another scary thing with glyphosate and monocropping, and tilling of our soil in America. It's like, I'm pretty sure we will not have fertile soil in America by like 2030 or something like that.
Yes, in the next like 40 to 60 years is when we basically are going to have no topsoil left.
Which is very bad. And also that leads us to rely on other countries for importing food, which is also scary, which is also another reason why Maha and Trump and Kennedy elected to allow glyphosate again. Like, I forget exactly the deal they signed, but they're basically like, yep, we're going to continue the use of glyphosate.
Yeah, we basically can't ban it is what they said.
Yeah.
But you know,
because of like war time, like because we need the food production to feed our people and our soldiers. And if we were to turn tomorrow to no glyphosate, then our farmers wouldn't know how to do their practices, which is complete BS.
Dude, I was gonna say, like, you can get that to a certain extent, but not only did they like just not ban it, they actually expanded its use. So there's a policy to now like expand use, and unfortunately, like, dude, I live in Idaho,
which is pretty heavily farmed, correct?
Yeah. And like that's where they go mine for phosphate. And so now Idaho, they're coming into Idaho to go mine for more phosphate, which they need to make glyphosate. And so I'm like, great, now they're moving in here to just like expand its use. And it's so sad.
It's sad, bro. It really, it's like, it's tough for me because I want to like sit here and fight this war and fight against them. But it's like, who am I even fighting? Is it even doing anything? And it's like, damn, am I just better off just going to another freaking country and doing my own thing and kind of just, blinders up. But, I don't, as a patriot of America, it's against me to do that. And it's weird also fighting against the same government I signed my life away to fight for. Yeah. It's very flipped worlds now in my brain. But
it's the power of, this is like what I always do to come back to like feeling hope of any sort, is like, we can continue to have conversations like this. And the best thing that we actually need to remember of living in America is that like the government is supposed to work for us. And so there's power in voting with your dollar. And I can give like clear examples of how this works. Cause like people like, we have now like controlled the market to like want healthier options. Right. And so this is why like now even all the big food companies are starting to like just slap protein on everything and stuff. And they're not giving us what we want, but they're like showing a little bit of an effort. Yeah. Because the people have spoken and the people are voting with their dollar, and they say, we want better options. We want healthier foods. And so much so to like, Gatorade, even for example, came out with like, they removed the colors and dye free and like sweetened with a natural sweetener instead of corn syrup. And like, so they have like shifted because the people in the market demanded it. And so like, that's all I go back to is like, we can just continue to do what we can do. And all I know is that I'm going to vote with my dollar every single time. Love it. And pay the right people who are doing things the right way. And if we get enough people that do that, because money controls everything, then the companies want money. So like wherever the market's going to go, they're going to go. And if we just like quit buying shit, then they're going to have to adapt if they want to survive as a business.
You're 1,000% right.
That's the power of voting with your dollar.
Yeah, I love that. And I appreciate that, the re-hope, because sometimes I get in my head, I'm like, oh, we're all fucked,
Same.
Yeah, it's easy to go down that path, especially if you turn on the news or whatever. Yeah, man. We could, it's just annoying because we could change everything, right now. Like we could go, not all regenerative, but a lot, and I've heard of this. Tell me if you agree with this, but like, if let's just say all of America's land that we're farming on currently was regenerative, we wouldn't be able to feed all of the Americans. Do you think that's true?
I don't know. It's a good question. I haven't looked into it enough to like speak confidently about that. Yeah. I think that we've done it before for sure, right? Where like, it's so funny. We coin these terms of like regenerative and stuff. And whenever people ask me like, what does regenerative mean? I'm like, not fucking with nature.
Yeah, that's true. Literally what it was 40 years ago.
How it's supposed to be. Yeah. Like nature is regenerative. Yeah. It will regenerate itself if we stay out of its way. Mm-hmm. And it's almost the same thing about like what happens with our body. Like if we just quit doing bad things to our body, it is designed to heal itself. Like we are regenerative beings. The earth is regenerative and we are like one together.
Yes.
And we need to work together with it. So I'm not sure the answer if it can, but I know that like, you know, if we can get as close back to having local farmers again and having like people that we can rely on in our local communities to feed our local communities. And like even in big cities, like there's for sure ways to do it, you know, like growing your own, even if it's like indoor growing certain things. And like, you know, there's so many ways to just like eat locally more. And so I think if we can just at least start shifting back to that, it's going to give us a lot better shot. And then the only thing that I do know is like to convert a farm that's been conventionally sprayed with pesticides, herbicides, and stuff like that. Like we've killed so much of it to like fully convert it to being considered regenerative again. I think takes somewhere between like 11 and 20 years.
Wow.
So it's quite a journey and a process.
Just to get the microbiome of the soil healthy again.
Yep, exactly. Wow. To be able to like actually sequester carbon and regenerate itself and all of that stuff because the soil is so dead. So like it's going to be a journey and a process for us, but what better time to start than now?
Right. You know, and that's why we have to use these pesticides and whatnot, because there isn't anything in the soil or any other plants around the main plants that they're farming to help create a biodiversity of, you know, bugs that are eating other like, you know, insects that are on the crops and whatnot. Yeah. So we rely on just spraying and then tilling the soil and, you know, kind of starting fresh, if you will, with not very fertile soil. So,
nailed it.
Yeah. Interesting. I wonder how you actually like regenerate after something's been cropped and tilled like that. Maybe just like smaller like plants that kind of like start to give a little life to the soil, maybe.
Exactly.
That
That's
you don't
really
like cut.
It's like building back your gut microbiome. You know, you got to start like adding in other crops and, not damaging the soil and just like start doing everything you can. But really so much of it comes down to the soil's microbiome and microdiversity, you know. Yeah. I think it's some crazy stat like this that like there's more like trillions of cells in like 1 square inch of soil than there is in like our entire stars in the galaxy. Wow. Some like crazy stat like that where it's like it's meant to be like the most diverse thing in existence. So cool. And what we have done is like monocropped it. So then it's like this living organism that the soil is only responsible for keeping one thing alive versus an abundant of plants and animals and like feeding and working as this ecosystem. Right. So now it only has to focus on like surviving one thing. So it's naturally gonna die off. So that's kind of the best way that I think we can do it is just like rebuild the soil through diversity, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's why regenerative is the best, is because you have such a complex, like nutrient dense soil that allows, I mean, either it's like, you know, cattle grazing and they're pooping on the land, rain falls, boom, it's like integrating more and more of a healthy microbiome. And yeah. Do you buy regenerative meat?
I do.
Nice.
Yeah. I shop for regenerative as much as I possibly can.
Love it.
Yeah, and even like, you know, some of the products we make are
regenerative.
Yeah. So like our protein powder that we make, we partner with family-owned and operated farms in Ireland, and it's all regenerative.
Wow.
So that was really like where, you know, I wanted to put my focus and attention was that, you know, just like helping everyone heal, the planet heal through regenerative practices. And so we try to do that as much as we possibly can. And like one of my favorite quotes of all time, it's a like Chinese medicine principle. And it states that an organism that destroys its environment destroys itself.
Makes sense.
Because again, like we are one.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And so I flipped the script on that and I'm like, an organism that heals its environment can heal itself. Yes. And so I really think that that's the focus that we should all try to shift to, is like healing Mother Nature, and then she provides for us. I mean, it's truly that simple.
Yeah, it really is. I love that, dude. That's awesome. Okay, so is it whey protein?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Protein there.
Yeah, tell me about your lineup. How did you get into that? Tell me.
Yeah. I mean, the journey was really starting from like my cancer journey and experience, you know, like it just kind of flipped a switch for me of like health is so important to me. I went to college and I studied pre-med because that was like what I always thought that I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Was, you know, pediatric oncology. Like that was my mission.
Because that
because that was what I knew. Yeah, like these were the people that I looked up to the most that like helped me heal, you know? And that was my only perspective that I had though, was that like that's how to heal, because that was my journey, was like doctors helped me heal.
Gotcha.
And then I had another experience when I was in college and off to college, and I was sick all the time. I had a really rundown immune system, as you can imagine. Probably like, 4 years of chemotherapy will do that probably. And I was just running myself into the ground. I was very much like wake up at 4 a.m. gym kind of guy, and like meal prep everything, and very into fitness. And like, but I was, doing that, studying all day.
Gotcha.
And then, grinding at night and working and going to school, and just like, I was just shot all the time, and I just wondered why I didn't have any energy. And then all of a sudden you get these labels put on you of like, I would try to go get help, and they'd be like, you have chronic fatigue, you have IBS, and like, these things that I just like thought that I had, but had no correlation of like maybe my lifestyle is doing it. And when I was working at GNC, that was my college job.
So you were like you were just running yourself into the ground, and then these problems started to pop up.
Yeah.
What do you know?
Exactly. Yeah. And I didn't really like piece it together fully. And my boss at GNC was a clinical herbalist, and she would like formulate her own supplements. And she was this awesome lady, and she started giving me these books, but like she never pushed anything on me. But she'd be like, oh, I have this book here, like read it when you're bored and customers aren't in. And it was like an ancient medicine book, right? About like, all these different like natural sources of vitamin C that we can get, and like what did the Native Americans do? And it was just like a herbalism book, and kind of the basis of it, and like all these different plants that could help heal. And I'm sitting there going like, how the hell have I never learned this in school? Like, this is like so cool that we have all this ancient wisdom, and I've never heard anything about this. And so that was kind of like light bulb moment for me of just like, dang, I should maybe like start trying some of this stuff and see what happens. And I did. And then all of a sudden you start feeling better, and you realize the power of it, and more energy, and what happens when you give your body more nutrients. And I just like completely kind of like made this shift. And school, to be fair, was like never my strong suit. Like I was not ever good at it. And so I was like, dang, I really can't imagine going to like much more school. And I was like, I'm just going to like change my major and go kind of like, I ended up getting my degree in like exercise physiology.
Cool.
And if I still wanted to go on to like PA school or PT school, I could.
That's the same.
So really?
Yeah. Yep.
So I kind of like played it safe and did that. And I really enjoyed it. And I was learning all about like how to move the body and like biomechanics, and I was a personal trainer, and so I really got into like all of that stuff and really enjoyed it. And then just continued the journey of learning about, functional medicine, Chinese medicine and stuff. And this was back in like, I graduated college in 2016. So this was like 2013 to 2016 is really like I started that journey a long time ago of just learning all about food, nutrition, supplements, and the power that it can be used to heal the body.
Wow. Okay. So how did Kona start then from there?
I was... I, after college, moved back home to
What does
Boise,
Kona mean, by the way? Sorry to interrupt.
Dude, it's actually a funny story, I can tell you, but it's super lame. Where like, there's my great grandfather's name was Ioana. It's a traditional Hawaiian name.
Oh, cool.
And there's a Hawaiian word that means pono, and it's basically like integrity or doing the right thing is how it's translated. And I loved that as the company name.
Love Hawaiian culture, by the way.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, oh man, that's great. Like just started with Pono. And then like, as we put it on like logos and stuff like that, and we didn't initially launch the company with it, but we had like started to throw it out there, and even made shirts, and that was my original LLC was like Pono. And then I had a buddy one time that was like, dude, it looks like porno. I don't think you can do it.
Oh man.
And I was like so attached to like how it looked.
Yeah,
I was like, I'm just going to make my own version of that word kind of thing. And just came up with Kono, and was like, the name doesn't really matter. It's like what I do, like I just, so that's really how that was. And then we just like ended up switching, and I was like, someone told me one time that K is like the strongest word in the human language, or like,
interesting. Yeah.
That like people are attracted to like K sounds. That it has like a strong, powerful meaning. And I read that somewhere, and I was like, screw it, let's try it.
Okay. That's cool. That's a really cool way of how that went about. Okay, so how did that actual company get formed?
Yeah.
How did you birth it?
I had no intention of like doing this or starting a company. I just like was really interested in doing this for myself, and like I became fascinated with kind of formulating products. And was just in my kitchen mixing and matching things, and then I really wanted to start, because again, like my background, like yours, like the exercise background, and I loved taking supplements, and I like missed taking pre-workout. That was like my favorite thing, dude. I loved the.
Bro, did you ever had Jacked 3D?
Like full blown meth in there?
Oh, yeah. That was the best. I was like
was.
16, 17. Didn't need pre-workout, but I'm taking like 3 scoops, like
Oh,
itching
yeah.
and like,
You go,
you know?
you go to the gym, it's closed, and you can't even like
Oh, God, dude.
function.
Oh,
Yeah.
my God.
Yeah,
Jacked
that
3D.
stuff. Didn't they find actual amphetamines in
Yes.
there later? Yeah.
Yeah, bro. We should get paid out for that.
I know, true.
The heck?
There's a lawsuit in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a 16-year-old boy taking that, it's crazy.
Yeah, what? Yeah.
But
Dude,
I did it
teenagers, y'all
too.
don't need pre-workout. Come on. Anyway, sorry.
But I missed it. Like I missed that
Yeah.
feeling, but I was like, man, I wonder if I could do this in like a healthy way. And really it just started of like me going on my journey, because I felt like the fitness industry kind of led me astray. Where like if you think about where most people start their health journey, is they usually are like, I don't like the way that I look, because that's the culture that we live in, unfortunately, in the society that we live in, is it's all around like, I just want to look better. And so where do you look to? You look to like a fitness influencer in the fitness industry, and
Someone you want to look like.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And it's the marketing 101, a story as old as time. Like we've been using it forever in the magazines, like old magazines. It's always like the most attractive person on the magazine to make you pick this magazine up and read the diet that they were on. Like it's just like that still to this day on social media, but just in a new way. But it's just like the oldest way of marketing 101.
You're so right, because, yeah, it's like, oh, we want to be like this person, so I'll do whatever they do.
Exactly.
And hopefully I'll get there.
Yes. Yep. And so I saw that and recognized that, like, man, I felt like for me what happened is, like, again, I was down the world of fitness. Like I said, like working out at 4 a.m., counting my macros, my calories, hitting it hard, all this stuff. And I still felt like shit. And I'm like, why do I feel bad? And then I like caused me to look into like all the supplements I was taking, and then start cutting that out, and like maybe eating a little bit better, and like not just meal prepping basic frozen chicken and broccoli and rice, and like how can I get in more nutrients? And like I started to just have these little moments. And so for me, I was like, dang, there's such a big difference between being fit and being healthy. And like just because you're fit doesn't mean you're healthy. And I was living that experience.
You'd speak about that a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, my experience with that was like, I looked great. I was like 4.5% body fat and just like shredded. Yes.
Yeah.
That's why I had no energy, because I tanked my hormones. I wasn't eating fat. My brain wasn't working. That's why I was labeled chronic fatigue. Like all of this stuff that no one ever tells you. But I just wanted to look shredded and be fit.
Right.
And everyone would always be like, dude, you look so good.
Yeah,
And I
compliment
felt-
you, and and then you don't even want to say how you feel. And yeah, dude, I mean, some of like, it's so funny, the fitness industry, it's got its like shadows, you know, and a lot of the people that are doing these bodybuilding competitions, sure, they look the healthiest or the fittest, but dude, at the end of the day, their gut is effed up, their sleep is horrible, their nutrition is horrible, you know, they've been starving themselves, and water, depletion, all that, dude. It's crazy, bro.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And now I can like come full circle and take a step back and be like, great, like as long as people know that they're actively not being healthy, then like go ahead and do it if you want to compete, if that's your thing, whatever. But like for me, I thought I was genuine. Like I felt deceived, because I was like, thought that this was what healthy was because it looked healthy, you know? So then like, to come full circle, like that's what led me to being like, man, how could I make like fitness based products, but from this viewpoint that I now have of holistic health?
That's cool.
And so the first product we made was like a pre-workout, but with like functional mushrooms. And we use this beautiful source of tea that's called guayusa tea. It's grown in the Amazon in a regenerative agriculture farm from the natives in the Amazon. So we source everything like in the most beautiful way that we can. And when you take things that are like grown with love and intention like that, and like, you feel it in that way. And also like, it's going to have more nutrients too. And so we did that. And that was our first product that we came out with, was like this healthy pre-workout.
Whoa.
And people
you still have
like,
it today?
We still do.
Sick.
Yeah. We call it functional pre-workout, just
Okay,
like
cool.
something a little bit different.
Tell me more about the ingredients in there.
Yeah. So we use amino acids, which that was really eye-opening for me, because when I was like trying to formulate it, I learned that like most of the amino acids on the market are made from human hair, pigskin or
What?
duck feathers.
What?
Yeah, it's like a dirty.
I didn't know that.
It's a really dirty like supplement industry thing where so much of the sourcing comes from just like the cheapest material, and it's the reason why it's like hair and feathers is because it's keratin, which is high in protein, and then they break it down into amino acids. So they're literally just taking like leftover scraps from just nasty places and breaking it down into amino acids. And it's kind of the same way with like the collagen industry today, dude. The collagen
what's going on with
industry is
that?
like that, where they will do like just leftover scraps from industrial feedlots of just like skin and hide and hooves, and then we have to like acid wash it and break it down into collagen peptides. It goes through a really gnarly process to get, you know, hooves and hides and stuff into powder and collagen.
Wow.
And we don't think about that.
Of course not. Yeah. We don't think of all the solvents and stuff.
Exactly. So it's a lot of chemical solvents in there. And to break it down into peptides especially, you really got to break it down.
Wow. Didn't even think about that.
Yeah, so that's kind of like, there's just a lot of nasty sourcing that goes on in the supplement industry that I found out about and looked into that was really, just eye-opening.
I mean, I'm sure that's 99% of amino acids and collagen and all that. Like, you know, the big white bottle with the blue lid, the collagen or whatever that.
Grocery store,
Yeah, dude, that's all you can guarantee. If usually cheap ain't good and good ain't cheap.
Yeah.
It's just kind of how it is, unfortunately. It's like the market, you know. These mega conglomerates are making this horrible sunscreen for us at 89 cents cost of goods, and they're selling it for $8. But, yeah, if you pay double for extremely good sunscreen, you're getting something that's a lot better for you. It's unfortunately just the way of margins and all that. But insane to know that collagen and amino acids are that. A funny one I'm sure you know is the way vanilla is made. Like vanilla flavor. It's like beaver ass. Like, anus or something. I swear. Yeah. Insane.
Yes.
Bro. Yeah, bro. Made me rethink getting vanilla lattes at my coffee shop, you know?
That's such a good point. I forgot about that one.
Yeah, bro. Insane. Yeah, dude. The supplement industry as a whole, 95% of companies are BS. And like you said, like loaded with either heavy metals or really harsh solvents that I'm sure have not been fully washed out, or just harsh, you know, fillers, filler ingredient. You have this can of Jack 3D and 80% of it's fillers and then 20% of it's actually ingredients.
Yep.
You know? Yeah. Tell me more about the fillers part, bro, because I know that's a big issue.
I'm still learning more and more about it as we do more manufacturing, you know, and just even what, like, you know, we get so much pushback trying to work with co-manufacturers of just, oh, you can't do that. You
That's
can't do
how
it
it is for me too.
It is. Yeah.
Non-toxic skin ingredients, I've gone through 20 manufacturers to get to people that actually work with me and are willing to like do
they're like, it won't
shit.
run through our machine. It won't do that. You need this. That's what a lot of what we get is like, you have to use silicone dioxide.
Stearate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. You need something to make it free flow through the machines and all that. And like, sure, it's better for them and like it's definitely hard, but like what we found was there was just like a workaround where like what I stumbled into.
It's just a little more labor, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I stumbled into just like an option where like they were like, use silicone dioxide, and I'm like, okay, what is silicone dioxide? What's in it? What they really want is silica, because silica has natural like anti-caking agents. And then I like went and like did a deep dive on silica, and I'm like, dude, silica is actually so good for us. It's an essential mineral and stuff, but how can we get it from a natural source? And so I found bamboo.
Whoa, okay.
And bamboo is this like natural source of silica that we use in some of our products.
Whoa.
And it serves like kind of that dual role and dual purpose. But bamboo is awesome because it's like 70% silica. And silica is the third most abundant trace mineral in the body that makes up all of your collagen tissue, really helps hydrate you. The best example that I give of silica is like cucumbers are really high in silica. And so that's why people put cucumbers underneath their eyes, is because the silica content. And what silica does is it actually pulls fluids into your tissues of the body. Because again, it's what makes up your connective tissue. So it helps hydrate them. And so we like just like stumbled into all of that through the research that I did. And I was like, dude, there's always a better way. And I will never take
the short route. Yeah. Exactly. That's the thing, dude. I'm not trying to, very similar, like obviously we're the exact same of doing things the best way. There's so many ways to go about it and so many freaking corners to cut that, I can make 80 cents more here on cost of goods and all that. I'm like, I don't give a damn. I want it 100% the best that possibly, because I care about my health, your health, our families. Like,
I love that, dude.
You know, and dude, you do it the same way, which is really freaking cool. And bro, I'm sure same with me. My profit margins are not that big.
Correct.
And it's tough to scale it, but dude, I wouldn't have it any other way. I don't, you know, I'm not in it to make $1 billion. I'm trying to help millions of people,
Agree.
you know? So
Yeah.
good on you, bro, for like not cutting corners and doing the extreme research and taking the time to vet all these manufacturers out. Cause it's hard work, bro. Like it really is. Like a lot of people like look past it and they just see, you know, your natural pre-workout and they just see the label, but they don't know all the hardship that you had to go through to get all this premium ingredients and processing, you know, to work.
100%.
So good on you, bro. I applaud you and I thank you.
Yeah.
So
yeah, likewise, dude. Yeah. Cause for me, I was the same way. Like I didn't even really know I was going to start a business. I was just kind of doing it for fun and making it in my kitchen
yeah.
and just like finding these really cool ingredients.
Yeah,
you know?
dude, tell us about that, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, I was like a full blown drug dealer. Like I was measuring out everything on the
Trapping
scale.
the good stuff,
yes,
dog.
literally. Like I had a scale in my kitchen
with some white powder and shit on it.
Yeah, everywhere. I measured out every single powder, and I would just like make it for my friends.
And it's all white, probably. I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. And some brown. We had like some functional mushrooms in there and stuff, and like, yeah, it was just wild. So I was doing that. I would put it in these little black bags.
Okay.
And then I would tape the ingredients onto the front.
Funny.
And then it just like, dude, word just kind of spread. And this was probably in like 2019, 2020 is when I really started doing that. And word kind of spread of just like, I was, you know, making this stuff. And I would maybe like post about it on my social media every once in a while of just like doing that. But I didn't know I was going to like start a business.
Wow.
I was just doing it for me. And then people started asking me about it. And then like before I knew it, it was like someone in Georgia, a friend of mine, like, wants to try your pre-workout. Can you try, you know, can you ship it to them? And then I was like, dude, packaging and shipping orders by myself for a long time doing that. And then I eventually like made enough money and saved enough money where I was like, I was going to buy a house and I kind of just went, screw it. I'm just going to go find a manufacturer to get this thing actually made properly for me, and went and did that. And that was in 2020. And then we officially launched March of 2021 and we haven't looked back. But I mean, for the first 2 years, I packed every single order by myself too, you know, me, my business partner and his wife. And like, we were, you know, the warehouse was in the garage and my townhome and like did, you know, so we really just like went through it. And I had no intentions of like, oh, I'm going to go just like blow this shit up. It was like, dude, I just love this.
That's cool,
I think
bro.
it's so fun.
That's the best businesses right there. I mean, one out of love, two out of the garage, you know, like Amazon, Apple, all, you know, they started out of the garage. It's kind of cool. Yeah. Yeah. So was the functional pre-workout, was that your first product?
First product.
Okay. And that was the one that you were shipping like to other people.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay.
And people would take it and they'd be like so many people, and probably like 70% of the people that take it now don't even take it as a pre-workout. They're like, dude, it just makes me feel good. I'll take it before work. It's really kind of a calm, smooth energy, and it has some nootropics in there too. And so it just makes people feel a little more like not so wired. And the tea source that we get, it's called guayusa, and like no one's ever heard of it, but what I would describe it as is like the plant is like a cousin of yerba mate. Okay. So it's kind of similar where like you can drink a lot of yerba mate and not feel jittery. This is the same way. And now we have clinical studies on guayusa that actually shows that it improves like reaction time and processing and thinking. And so it's like, it kind of acts as like more of a nootropic, but it still has caffeine. And in fact, the way that we like standardize it, it's 30% chlorogenic acid, which is an amazing polyphenol that's like great for, you know, cancer research and longevity and all that stuff. And to give you an example, like the highest chlorogenic content that we know of besides guayusa is like certain forms of coffee that are like 8%. And this is 30% chlorogenic acid. So it's very nutrient rich, grown in the Amazon. It's a beautiful plant.
And that coffee you're talking that's 8% is probably the best coffee, not no bullshit Dunkin' Donuts.
Exactly.
You know?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That's really cool. Did you add any extra caffeine into it? Thank goodness.
Yeah. No, it just comes from the plant. There's 100 milligrams just naturally. So it's like it's around a cup of coffee. It's light.
Cool. I like that, dude.
And we use like rhodiola, which helps balance it out and like relax the nervous system. So it's kind of this cool, like little effect that you get. Dude,
how bullshit is energy drinks, bro? Like talk to me about like Ghost Energy, dude. Like, how horrible is that? Like they're adding 300 milligrams of some bullshit caffeine source with all these processed ingredients, sucralose that's like really messing up your gut. Like Ghost Energy and all these other energy drinks, horrible for you. And you should not be having to rely on this energy to go to the gym, to go to work. There's obviously some type of foundational issue there. Like,
bingo.
Talk about it, bro.
Yeah, bingo. You nailed that. I'm glad that you brought up that piece because a really, really good sign of someone that is healthy is you can wake up in the morning with energy and not have to rely on caffeine to feel like you got to start your day. And like that is a perfectly good sign of healthy mitochondria, because that's like your energy of the cell and how you create energy. And like the food, like to just like dumb it down on a base level for everyone.
Yeah.
The food that you eat feeds your mitochondria, and then your mitochondria take that energy, convert it into like ATP, and then that is your energy system that the body runs on. And so like to directly dumb it down, it's like the food that you are eating creates energy. And so it's like, do you want to run on bullshit, or do you want to run on good, real food and let your mitochondria convert it in the most natural way that it can? And that's why, like, when you eat like a nice, light, balanced meal, you should feel energized and not heavy. Like, that's a really good thing for people to start thinking about, is like, how do I feel after I eat this? Do I feel like my mitochondria like converted this really well into energy for me? And did it give me energy? And do I feel really good? And like, really, like the over caffeinated energy drinks, they're just kind of like robbing you of tomorrow's energy. Because the way that caffeine works,
great point,
is that essentially like it blocks the adenosine receptor in your brain. So it doesn't inherently give you energy. It just makes you think that you're not tired. That's actually how it works.
Wow.
So it really just kind of like does this little trick in your brain to say like, I'm not tired, and blocks that receptor. And so you get energy from it, but it's not actually like giving your foundational cells the energy that it needs. And the only thing that actually does that is like food. So I'm not anti-caffeine by any means, but like overdoing it, you're just going to like make those receptors really weak over time likely, and then be reliant on that to where you're just going to feel more tired without it.
Wow. Yeah, and then that's going to catch up to you, and the next day you're going to have to rely on it more, and then, oh man, and then your adrenals are being dumped and all that.
That's what happened to me. So like I can speak from my personal experiences. I used to drink this Bang energy drinks.
Yep.
Like when I was in
Are
college.
they still around?
I don't know.
It's probably ghost now. They probably just renamed. Yeah, all the fitness industries like that.
And I had to like survive on those because I didn't have any energy and didn't think to ask myself why, but I was surviving on that. And then I would just get super jittery, and then you crash because like what goes up must come down. And I didn't put that together either. So I would like get this like awesome, like you feel like you're on this high, and then you have to crash and come down. And then like what your only option is to do it all over again. So like that's why they're addicting too, not only because like the ingredients, but the amount of like reliance that is happening just from an internal system standpoint.
I think caffeine is the biggest drug in the world, the most normalized drug in the world. You know, if the American government knew how many Starbucks were going to be on every corner, they would tax the hell out of coffee or caffeine in general. It's just like caffeine is everywhere, you know, and there's not a lot of discipline around it. Not a lot of people know that the half-life is 6+ hours. So if I drink it at 12 p.m., it's still going to be in my body residual. Let's say I have an afternoon or late night cup of coffee at 6 p.m. Well, that half-life is still going to be there. 100 milligrams drank at 6 p.m. It's going to be about 50 milligrams around the time I go to bed, maybe at midnight or whatever. Not good. Yeah, and a lot of people don't know that.
No, and they forget that it is a drug. Like there's a...
you can die from too much caffeine.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah,
that's a good
You can take caffeine pills and die, for sure.
There's a book that's called How to Change Your Mind that was written about psychedelic compounds. Michael Pollan was the author on it, but like he was just exploring all these different compounds, and he actually quit caffeine when he was on this journey of like his psychedelic journey. And so he quit caffeine for like 6 months to a year. And he said when he went back and drank a cup of coffee and had caffeine for the first time, that it was a full-blown, like he realized that he was on a drug. Like he didn't realize the power of like what it did to your body
until he like went clean.
You have to go clean for a little bit, and then all of a sudden you try it again, and he was like full-blown, like you feel like you're on drugs.
Whoa.
And I think we just like get so used to it.
Yeah, it's normalized.
Yeah.
Dude, I'll see like kids, like 18-year-old kids at Starbucks getting like a triple frappuccino, whatever the heck, and I'm like, oh my God, that's first 100 grams of sugar, second like, you know, a ton of caffeine, and you're 10 years old. Come on. You know, parents, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
They don't know better, but yeah, dude, crazy coffee. And I don't rely on caffeine. Like okay, today I didn't get the best sleep last night. So I had 4 sips of an afternoon coffee, which is very rare for me, but I love the habitual routine of heating the water up, grinding the beans, smelling the beans, like,
same,
you know, and just, I have really good coffee beans from Healthy Mornings. Shout out my buddy Nico. So good. And it's just like, I don't need the caffeine. And I almost wish, and decaffeines are kind of
Yeah.
but like, I just love the habitual routine of it. And also another thing, if you're going to drink caffeine or coffee, make sure it's at least an hour after waking, because our body needs cortisol to wake up. It produces the most amount of cortisol when you wake up. It's our stress hormone, but that allows you to wake up. Without that, you'd be still a zombie. And if you drink caffeine, especially within the first like 60 to 90 minutes upon waking, you are like tripling down on cortisol, because caffeine has a lot of cortisol in it, or it at least enables your body to have more cortisol. So yeah, fun fact, fun tip. Try to not have your morning cup of coffee the first thing.
That was huge for me.
Water with salt, electrolytes,
yes,
you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's huge.
Hydrate.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because that will also give you a chance to listen to that metric of your body of like, do I wake up with energy naturally without caffeine? And like, that's a huge just baseline thing that people should go find out, you know? And it might take a little bit to get to, because I used to be like that too, where I would do coffee first thing in the morning, and like, I hope it doesn't sound like we're shitting on caffeine and coffee too hard, because like there can be like some great benefits to it. It's just like you can abuse anything.
Totally, for sure. It's really the intention and how you use it, the timing of it, like is everything, quality of it, just like everything, dude, the quality of timing, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, crazy. I'd love me some good coffee though. That's for sure.
Me too.
God dang. Yeah, man, that's one of the biggest drugs in the world. And yeah, I think another thing I would love to talk about is, have you tried mushrooms before? Have you tried psychedelic mushrooms, and what's been your experience like with that?
I have, yeah. One of the most beautiful experiences of my life. Like, I can tell you, I guess, what I learned from it and just a little bit more about me. I am a continuous problem solver in my life, and like have been an optimizer for so long.
Every great entrepreneur is.
Right.
Yeah.
And just like, you know, how can I be better? How can I make this better? And stuff
Efficiency,
like that.
yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Just all about doing and not being. And so much so that like I went into this, you know, plant medicine journey using mushrooms of like, what can I learn from this? Like, you know, all of this stuff. Like I was using it almost like as a tool to like kind of like optimize.
To do more.
Yeah. And so I like thought in the moment when I'm like in the midst of my journey to like journal. I was like, oh, okay, what's coming up for me right now? Instead of just like being and just like experiencing it. And the second that I like opened my journal and like went to go write something, I started sobbing, crying.
Wow.
So I had this message that came through like as clear as day that was just like, the more... It was basically this. It was like, quit fucking looking for problems and instead just like start creating things that are right.
What do you mean?
So I basically just like always want to optimize and make things right and stuff like that. And so like I'm just like seeking and searching for problems. So what do I think I'm going to get? Like more problems. Like I'm just creating more problems for myself by always trying to like optimize instead of just like allowing myself to just create moments of joy and peace and like naturally. And so I just like, that was a few years back and just like a huge journey for me because I was in the midst of like starting my business, still working full time in the medical device industry, and just like such a high stress job that I was in and trying to get my business off the ground. And I just like hit some breaking points and had to like kind of just turn to some tools. And that's when I decided to try mushrooms. But it was really that it just like spoke so clearly to me that like, dude, I'm creating all of these problems by trying to just like solve problems. Like the more that I like look to solve problems, the more problems are going to show up for me to solve. Like it was just like, so what if you just start like not trying to solve everything and just be? Yeah. And I've been on that journey ever since. Cause like, of course, like I still struggle with that. Yeah. But I'm on like such a path now and just like really, like proud of myself of just how far I've come of just like being, not doing, and allowing things to just like flow through me. That's really cool. I struggle with that too. And I think it's just only human nature because we also get rewarded for the problem solving. Like, oh, nice, you fixed that, or you made this more efficient. Like, oh, nice, my ROAS went up, or my, whatever, like something increasing. You get endorphins from that, like, but a lot of us, including myself, are way too much in just the mechanics of society and not really like human being. We're the human doing, just like you said, bro. I feel that so much, dude. I think every man listening will resonate with that so deeply because that's like what we do as men, dude. That's how we're validated in society is from like problem solving and stuff. And it's why like every woman in a relationship, when they come to their man and we just want to fucking solve their
Fix it.
problems,
Mm-hmm.
they're like, what are you doing? You're not actually listening to me. You're not actually hearing me. And we're like, what do you mean? You could just solve this and it'd be done.
What do you mean? It's 8. Yeah, 1 + 1 = 2. Come on.
Yeah. So like we have that ingrained in us as a man.
Yeah.
And that makes it harder.
Yeah. I mean, and that's honestly what ladies are great with, is just, like sitting and being.
It's the feminine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Allow.
Yeah. Allow. And just, yeah. Guys, they don't always need you to mansplain and try to fix shit. And I've messed up on that plenty of times, that's for sure.
We all have. Yeah, we have to in order to learn. But it's like, it's so hard because it's like, it's in our nature and it's the way that like we show love, So it's like in our opinion, we're like, this is the best thing. Like the instincts kick in. Like this is the best thing that I can do to love them in this moment, is to like help them get through this, because we see it as like they're suffering.
Right. We want to protect and provide.
I don't want my woman to suffer. So like, how can I do this? When in reality, like most of the time,
you just want to be heard.
Yeah, loved.
Yeah.
That's always the answer.
Yeah. Wow. That's deep. Women applauded at that, that's for sure. Just now. I love that, dude. Yeah, man. Relationships, dude, they are the best, for me, the best like teacher, for sure. And unfortunately, it's usually when I fuck up.
Yes.
But
your partner is your guru. It's like one of the best things I ever heard, is like, if you can go into a relationship and allow them to be your greatest teacher,
that's cool.
Then that's how you actually, thrive in a relationship. And like, I can give you an example of like what happened to me in this last relationship was, early on in the relationship, like we were kind of just having a check-in moment of like, what's going on, what's happening, like, how are you feeling about things, stuff like that. And it just kind of came up, and like, she had the courage, which is great, to like bring up to me of like, sometimes like the health stuff is a lot for me, or sometimes it feels like you're coaching me, and I don't want to be coached,
I've been there,
dude. And it like, yeah, right. And so I was like, one, that also hurts. So like in that moment,
because you want the best for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And if you see like maybe a harmful thing that you're doing, you want to like help them out, and it's probably not best received like that or whatnot.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm like, shit. Okay. Ego hit. I have 2 options in this moment. I can say like, okay, this person's not right for me then. Right?
Yeah. Or like retreat and just like,
just be like, okay,
Up.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
And instead, like, what I'm glad that I chose to do is say like, this could be a huge moment for me. And like, that's not the first time I've ever heard that before, even with friends and family and stuff like that. And so I'm like, there's clearly a pattern that's going on here. And like, I'm getting called on it again. And so now what can I do in this moment to be better and like allow her to be my teacher, is like, okay, I'm going to actually like deeply resonate with that. And you're right, because I actually don't want to do that. I don't want to come off like I think I fucking know it all and like I'm a teacher and like all of that stuff. And like, yes, I enjoy like teaching and educating, and it's like a huge passion of mine and what I do, but like, that's not my job for you. And like, you can ask me for help when you want it, but like, my job is to love you and not to coach you. And so I had like just a huge moment, and like, if we can just like do that in relationships, which is unfortunate because it's going to be the thing that like triggers you the most.
Hardest, yeah.
Because they know you more than anyone else in the world.
Totally.
And so they'll be able to call you out on the shit that like cuts the deepest and hurts the deepest. But if you could just like allow it, I think the purpose of a relationship is they'll actually turn you into the person that you were always meant to become.
Damn, if you allow it.
Yes.
Yeah. Good on you. I mean, how manly of you to man up and own that. I feel like a lot of men just don't take acceptance of, their negatives, I guess you could say, or just maybe their, circumstance. Nice, amazing of you to just freaking own that shit, dude, and try to rewire your brain to do better the next time. That's awesome, and it's pretty rare.
Yeah, thanks, dude. I mean, it was not, like, I can tell you I've never done that in any relationship in the past, and it's only through, like, the work I've done and having, like, self-awareness and allowing myself to work through emotions and pause and, like, regulate my nervous system and learn how to do all of that stuff to then, like, have a moment to be able to, like, reflect. And I did it, like, literally I remember, like, pausing in silence for probably a good, like, 7 to 10 seconds before I even said anything. Because it's in like those moments of silence where like the right thing comes. You
can either react or you can respond, and I like that. And it takes such a hard conscious effort to like not go back into that pattern, you know, and like emotionally react and just sit there and be like, she's right. You know, I want to do better. I want to address the situation differently. And that's the hardest.
Dude, I've noticed a shift in your content lately where you're talking more about like supporting women and stuff. And
Yeah.
I'm like, that's awesome, because we need more of that, and more men need to be educated on, dude, like this is something that's crazy that I never thought about before until recently. No one ever taught us how to love.
No,
which
not
is
at
the
all.
single most important thing that you can ever do in your entire life. And yet, like, there's no like roadmap for it.
Not at all. I mean, there's not, for men especially, dude. We aren't taught to like understand our emotions or how to move through them, or yeah, I mean, just like communication, all that stuff. Like, dude, I was not taught any of this, and that's not by my parents' fault by any means. I think it's more societal, you know. And men are just taught to like do like forget about feelings or whatever, and like just totally like disassociate, and that's not healthy at all. Especially if you want like a healthy, intimate relationship like that. You know, disassociating or numbing out or pushing down is not healthy at all. And I used to do that quite a bit.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Whether it was like numbing out with weed or disassociating by hanging out with friends or just not like addressing the situation and putting off that important conversation for longer and longer, and avoidant definitely is a big
tendency.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is probably like the best thing I've ever heard in my life, which I know is a bold statement, but it's that we're not actually afraid of the facts of life, but we're afraid of how those facts are going to make us feel, which means that actually what everyone is afraid of is our own feelings.
Wow.
So it's like, you know, an example of like the facts of life. So like, even like COVID, for example, or whatever, like it wasn't like the fact of COVID. It was like the emotional response that we had about COVID and our perception to it and how it made us feel. And like, we're all just like afraid of our own feelings. And so that can apply to like relationships or anything in life, is like, it's not actually the fact. I'm just afraid to experience the emotion that fact will make me feel.
Like the acceptance of it.
Yeah. And so it's like, how can we actually just like allow ourselves to feel the emotion, allow it to like work through us? And everyone's just so afraid to feel that we run, and then we like can't accept facts because of how it's going to make us feel.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Like, for instance, I went through a breakup like around 9 months ago, and I didn't want to accept the fact of the breakup. So I kind of like kept pushing it away. And like, the quicker I accepted it, the quicker I was able to kind of heal through it.
Exactly.
And for months, I like kind of numbed out and like almost didn't accept it, or like thought, you know, we were going to like make it work or whatnot, and just was not accepting in the situation, you know. And if I just like accepted what was and then moved through it, like it would have led to accelerated healing for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel that.
100%. That's a perfect example, and the most like real world example of like the most hurtful thing ever.
Yeah.
It's so hard to like face that fact, because then you know how it's going to make you feel, and that is fucking terrifying. Yeah. Like, it's the scariest thing ever. But like, emotions are just in motion, you know? Like, emotions are in motion, so they're meant to like work and come through you. Like, it's not actually a part of you, but it's just something that's going to like pass through. And the more that we just like continue to know that and remember that, like, the emotions need to be in motion. Like, we got to just like let them work through us, and then the faster like we get out of it and through it. So I've just like tried to always remember that, of just like, damn, I know like I'm just afraid to feel, and the more that I can just like work on being okay and allowing my feelings to come up and work through them and know that they're just like in motion, then I can just kind of get through it quicker.
Damn, I love that, dude. I wish it was more normalized, you know, emotional intelligence, especially for men. Yeah, for men especially. It's when I joined the Marine Corps at a young age, I was taught to not have emotions, because you know what? When there's bullets flying over your head, you can't think about, oh man, my girlfriend broke up with me, or my grandma just passed away, or whatever. No, you're focusing on survival. The Marine next to you, like, y'all making it to the next day pretty much, and you can't have emotion. So it was like trained out of me. And I didn't really have any emotional intelligence like growing up, you know, just like I said, wasn't taught. And then it took me, you know, my first real like healthy relationship, girlfriend, us breaking up, and her like being like, oh, you know, you have external validation, you have these self-limiting beliefs, yeah, she listed all of them. And I was here for it. I'm like, you know what? I don't want to fucking repeat this again. Like, I'm all about self-improvement. Let me just like take it all in. And I was literally like writing notes on my phone while she was talking about it. And that all of those like things like led me to the inner work, and has like been probably the most beneficial thing ever, which has been therapy for me, and my willingness to do the inner work, because that shit sucks. It's not fun. You know, it's, especially as like a man, it's not fun like going through your past and like feeling it again and all that. Like, especially as someone that's an avoidant, like I want to like steer clear and like, oh, life is good. You know, if I keep looking this way, it's good.
Yeah,
You know?
happy go lucky.
Yeah. Even though I feel a knot in my throat or something because I'm not speaking my truth or what have you. Yeah, dude. So I just want to like normalize like therapy more, just, you know, inner work in general and emotional intelligence, because I think that that can really like heal the world and connect us humans better, whether it's an intimate relationship with a male and female or friends or whatever, dude. It's like so beneficial. And in fact, my friends, I only have friends that we can go deep. If we are just surface level, no, it ain't gonna work.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I think what everything comes down to, like what it all comes back to on everyone's healing journey, whether it's health, you know, healing from health issues, healing, you know, spiritually, emotionally, all of it is your nervous system. Like the more that like I learn about that,
and we aren't taught about
always, that. You know, no. Everything always points back to like the rule number one should be like, do you feel safe within your own body? And like, because that is what actually creates your perception of the world. So like how you view the world, whether you have like fear, anxiety, depression, like any of that,
it goes back to your lens.
Yeah, it's all just like the lens that you're looking through, because it's all like your nervous system and how you feel within your own body. And again, we don't realize like how much we can do and how many tools we have to like feel safer in our own body and start trusting our own body more and listening to our own body more. And the second that we do that, like our whole personality changes, and then your personal reality changes, and then your whole like perception of reality in the world changes, and all of a sudden you look at life and you go like, it's pretty fucking awesome.
Yep. We're not taught. We're not. You just went back to like square one. Like, how do you feel safe in your body? And not a lot of people can correlate their brain and what safety means, and then what their like body is feeling. Like that's just not. There's not like a connection there. I feel like, you know, like if you ask me 5+ years ago, like, do you feel safe in your body? I'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about?
True.
What do you mean? Like,
that's a good point. I forget that sometimes.
Like, I don't have my Glock on me, but like, I feel pretty safe, you know, or whatever. Like, they just, I wouldn't understand. Yeah. So
maybe like present.
Yeah.
Maybe like the best way to ultimately describe what we're all trying to do more of is just be present. And the more that you can do that, the more you're just like in tune with yourself, your awareness, like all of that. And it's like the hardest thing to do in today's culture is to be present, because we're bombarded with information and sensory overload
24/7.
Yes.
Yeah. And anxiety is worrying about the future, and the depression is worrying about the past. Yeah. And being present is the biggest gift. And there is no anxiety or depression in the present. It just is. Yeah. Have you read The Power of Now?
I have.
I have not, but I need to.
Yeah, that was one of the first that I read, but it was so funny because when I first read it, I didn't actually understand it.
Wow.
Like it was just too over my head. And so
it's a lot to take in.
Yeah, I had to go through and have like these experiences for myself and feel it for myself to then be able to finally like comprehend and understand what it was talking about. Yeah. My
good buddy Joe in Hawaii has read it multiple times, and he said that he has to break it up a little bit. Yeah. I need to read that. Do you have some favorite books?
Yeah, a lot. I think one that's...
I need to read more, bro.
Dude, yeah, I go back and forth about it because, like, I am, like, I don't know how to say it, well-read, I guess.
Okay, cool.
But, like, I did that. Dude, I went on, like, such a big journey of, like, doing all of this work that I think you can get stuck in a perpetual cycle, and I think that's what happened to me of, like, why I wanted to be the optimizer and always improve me.
That's an industry.
Dude, I got stuck in like the self-help improvement look, and
you can get caught up in that for sure.
And I did. So like, you know, what I now always come back to and what I tell people to do is like, if you really, really feel called to like learn something, then go do it. Cause like that was placed on your heart for a reason. You have information in the world at your fingertips, but like, don't go just like read just to read or because someone recommended something to you. Like if you don't feel like really pulled and called to like go learn it, then actually the best information is not going to come from a book. It's going to come from within and like you just like learning to trust and listen to yourself. and like be still for long enough to like listen to God or your higher self or whatever you want to call it. Like that's really what I think we need to do more of, because we're bombarded with information.
I mean, dude, a lot of people, including myself sometimes, but I'm pretty good about it. As soon as they wake up, they're on their phone. They're getting, their vulnerable, beautiful brain is getting bombarded by what the world wants them to think. And that is like the worst way to start the day. You know, it's like
Guaranteed anxiety.
Guaranteed anxiety. You can start with, you know, amazing, like what you're grateful for, and maybe a prayer and connecting with a higher power. But yet, you know, you flip on your phone on Instagram and you're getting, boom, dopamine hits that's like lowering your own dopamine supply, and just like, oh, Iran, Israel, whatever, like you fill in the blank for that day. And it's like, it's automatically anxiety. Yeah. Instead of like, I'm going to curate the best day on how I want it to go and how I want to manifest it and how I think it's going to go, you know, versus like what the world wants me to think and believe. It's crazy, dude.
And I was always like that, and I bet people listening will resonate with this, where like you can hear something and know that it's true. So like what you just said of like, yeah, of course I shouldn't get on my phone in the morning. I know that's probably not good for me. And of course it would probably help to like go outside or take some breaths or do a meditation. But until you actually like feel what it feels like and then feel that experience, it won't fully actually like resonate, because there's a difference between like knowing in your brain and like understanding in your brain and actually like knowing and feeling in your body. And there's such a big difference. And for me, it was like I was always up here in my head and like very like consciously aware of a lot of that stuff. But until you actually like feel it for yourself and just like feel like take 6 deep breaths, even though it feels like weird and strange or whatever, like go put your feet in the grass and just like actually put your phone away and like sit there and just like connect with yourself. And it might feel weird at first, but then you like feel what it feels like to actually do it. And you're like, holy shit, there's something to this.
So amazing.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. I don't think a lot of people could take 30 seconds to do 6 deep breaths. Like a lot of people are like, oh, that's too much. So we're cooked.
Because we're scared.
Yeah,
we're scared, dude. We're scared of our emotions. Like that's what it all comes down to. Like we're really scared to feel.
And we're just so fed dopamine, like constant stimulation all the time. Like, dude, I'll even catch myself like making dinner or whatever, and boom, Instagram, just whatever. Too. Like, dude, they design these damn things to be addictive. And it's crazy because like the higher ups in Apple, they don't allow their kids to have phones.
Yeah, they know.
Pretty crazy.
I know.
Yeah, insane, bro. I kind of want to get into that too. 1 in 5 children are diagnosed with a mental health disorder. Why do you think that is?
Again, like just all disease, I'll keep continuing to sound like a broken record. I think it's a combination of what we're doing in society. So like we can blame it on the food, we can blame it on artificial sweeteners, and we can blame it on the phones, and like, but it's the combination of all of that, right? Like it's really the, the societal pressures from social media that kids have now. It's the food that we're eating, and like, the gut-brain axis and how the microbiome is affected from children. And we know that like kids have so many more neurodevelopmental diseases and delays when they eat more processed foods, and they disrupt the gut microbiome. So it's like this perfect storm for the opportunistic disease to come take place. And then like, yeah, but I do think so much of it is just like the societal pressures of social media. I mean, it's so deep wired in our subconscious. I even feel it too. If you just even go scroll for like 10 minutes and you see like a guy that's in better shape than you or something, like instant shame.
For sure.
Or like judgment of yourself of just like, dang, I should go to the gym or something. And it's like, dude, I heard this recently that like if everyone got rid of like mirrors, how much better of a place would the world be? Because so much of our lives now are all about external validation. And we're constantly bombarded with like how we look. We think about it all the time because we're constantly comparing ourselves to how everyone else looks on social media. But like, that's not actually who we are.
Yeah.
Like if you didn't know how you looked and you just like connected with your actual self,
you'd be stoked.
Yeah.
Dude, I struggle with external validation as one of the biggest things, for sure. I still catch myself like, oh damn, like didn't go to the gym enough this week. Like I'm looking small, and like, it's definitely tough, man, for sure. Yeah, it's crazy, and I feel so bad for kids growing up with social media. Thank goodness I didn't have it when I was growing up.
Same. Yeah, but yeah, we still struggle with all the same things, that they do. It's just probably like we have a little bit more awareness around it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of all we can do is just continue to have awareness and continue to peel back the layers and continue to just like go internal and be like, you know, like the external is not what validates me. Like I am validated for me and being me, and like,
Yeah, I'm loved for just being me.
dude, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's who you are at your core and your essence, and like, you know, the more that we can remember that, just the better off everyone is.
Damn, I love that, dude. Yeah, external validation was one of the biggest things when I started my inner work journey of addressing, for sure.
Where do you think it came from for you?
Being bullied when I was younger for just being very small. Like I didn't hit my growth spurt till like senior year of high school and the Marine Corps. So like I was bullied for my size and all that at a young age. And then when I started going to the gym when I was 14, 15 years old and gaining some size, then I gained validation from women. And that, you know, the negative of being too small and getting made fun of, and then boom, gaining size, like that all combined into a gnarly external validation. Like, oh, like if I look a certain way, I will be enough. But yet it was never enough. It doesn't matter, you know, if I was 180 pounds, 5% body fat or whatever, it was never enough. The end goal was always fleeting. And that's something that I'm scared with, especially these kids that are into looks maxing.
Yes.
Which is essentially just dressed up as external validation. Yeah. You know, it's like, sure, it's good to want to look good, but there comes a point to where that can be obsessive and that's all you identify with. And then guess what? As soon as that identity is stripped away, let's say you accidentally break your leg or something, then, dude, your ego and your identity is tanked because that's all you identified with. So, yeah, I'm nervous about these looks maxers being one of the ideologies for these younger men, especially, to look up to.
It's crazy how popular it's getting right now. And if there's like any reminder that I could ever give, it's that like you look good as a byproduct of being healthy.
Yes.
Like that's just facts. Like, I mean, we can go through so many examples, but like when you grow up with proper nutrition, you oftentimes don't need braces because your teeth grow in properly and they have enough spacing. And if you're not mouth breathing and, you know, you breathe through your nose a lot and, you know, have proper tongue posture, like all of that is what creates your actual like facial structures, like nutrients and proper airway. And all of that is just being healthy. Yes. So like being healthy is, again, just like going to be like looking good is going to be a byproduct of that.
Yep.
So it all comes back down to like focus on your health, and everything else is just a byproduct of that.
Love that, dude. Bro, they're like literally taking hammers through their face to like break up like bones tissue. Bro, insane, dude. Like for what? Our grandparents, our ancestors are laughing at us, dude. It's like how far we have gone in the deep end is crazy, bro. And it kind of makes me want to like live in another country more, you know, but it's okay. it's all good, dude. It's crazy. Speaking of that, what is a balanced, healthy lifestyle to you? Do you feel like you are pretty balanced? And what does that look like?
It took me a long time. Like I can think of times where I was obsessed with sleep for a while, and I still am. Like I still think sleep is like the number one performance hack, health hack of all time. Like that's the foundation and should be everything. But I became like overly obsessive where I would like turn down hanging out with friends if it was too late because I like wanted to sleep, you know?
I don't blame you.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so now I think what balance looks like for me is like knowing when to say yes to opportunities that are going to fill me with love and joy versus like just me being kind of like maybe selfish and like trying to focus so hard on optimizing. Again, like I was the optimizer. And so now I'm like, okay, I got to recognize when I'm just like trying to be too much of an optimizer and when I should just like actually go let loose, hang out with some friends, go stay up too late every once in a while. If I'm feeling like, you know, like if I'm like having a good time, I'm not going to like leave just to go hit my bedtime anymore. You know what I mean? Like I'm going to like allow myself to be present in the moment. And, you know, sometimes that does look like, you know, eating out with friends and not worrying about the
ingredients or whatever.
Ingredients and shit. Yeah, it's like, dude, I'm doing the best I can. I'm dialed in most of the time. I can let myself live and like live in the present moment and have joy with them.
And dude, when I'm 80 years old sitting on my rocking chair, I'm not going to wish like, oh man, I wish I slept for an hour or two or more, you know, instead of hanging out with my great friends in another country, you know, like, yeah, bro, it's crazy. I was an extremist in so many areas, and I definitely, the pendulum has swung back to be more balanced. You know, like, dude, I work out and eat healthy, but you damn right I'm gonna have that cookie or whatever, you know, like sometimes, or that good ass ice cream. Like, don't get it twisted, you know. But I'm also not having that every night. It is discipline too. So because it's all around us, the convenience, the comfort foods, all that, and you can easily indulge into it, and your brain and your body and your gut is gonna love that for the current time being, that short term hit. But it's really about that discipline. But gotta have fun too.
Absolutely.
You know? And you can also have fun without, you know, the alcohol, the drugs and stuff like that, which is another thing that inner work helped me with, which is like not giving a fuck about what other people think as far as like dancing or whatever. You know, it's like, dude, just have fun, move your body. Like, the person that's like judging me about dancing is because they're just too insecure to do it, you know, to dance or whatever it is, you know. And it's like,
we need to look to little children to be our greatest teachers.
Yes.
Because they have removed all of the barriers. They don't know, like,
They don't know it
the
yet.
world hasn't like worn them down.
right.
And so they're so free to be themselves. They're not embarrassed. Like when you're a little boy, dude, you're just dancing, whatever.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, it's the best thing ever. And it's funny because, like, you know, like some of the greatest teachers or scripture, any of that, like there was an example in scripture where like Jesus was once asked, like, how do you enter the kingdom of heaven? And his answer was to be like little children. Just like heaven here on earth right now, because like we can be free, innocent, loving. They like, you know, all of that.
It's literally just societal taught subliminal messaging over time. Yeah. Yeah, man. I'm excited to have kids for that too, to like bring out my inner child more and just to like play and be goofy. And I try to do that, you know, now naturally. And that's why I love having friends that bring that out of me for sure. But yeah, I'm excited to kind of have that manufactured too, in a way, you know, with children. So
Absolutely.
yeah, I'm stoked on that. So currently with Make America Healthy Again, I would love to hear your current stance because of all the things they promised to us. You know, of course, politicians are going to overpromise and then underdeliver. But like, how do you feel with the Maha movement? Or do you think it's going well? What are your thoughts?
Oh man, I think the first thing I will say is that unfortunately, I think there's kind of a reason why it's not going well, and why, or as well as maybe we thought it would, and why everyone can't get behind it. And it seems like, to me and to you, it should be such a clear, obvious thing that like everyone should get behind being healthier again. Like it seems really obvious of just like, why aren't we doing that?
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you're right or,
Yes.
you know, left, right, up, down. It doesn't matter.
It seems like that, right? But like I think that there's still like an energy associated with like so many people that are behind the Maha movement that are angry because like we've been wronged for so long that we're coming at it from the wrong energy in the Maha movement, where it's like an energy of angry, of like we have to fix this because we got screwed for so long, and people are like wanting to fight. But like, when has anyone ever won out of the energy of anger? Like the only time that you ever actually make real change is from love. And so I think that that's why it's not like working, and why so many people can't like get behind it. And what I would love to like challenge like all of our colleagues to do, and like people that are in the Maha movement, is to come at it from that like different energy. And I know it's so hard because we're all so passionate about it, and that anger comes through. But like if we just did this from like the ultimate place of love, I think it would resonate with people far wider.
Yeah, how do we even do that? I'm trying to like wrap my mind around that. Like how
we're wanting to like boycott and like get pissed at all these cereal brands and like remove these ingredients and like do that. And it's like, dude, the fight of that, like that energy of like anger, you're almost just like feeding more anger into the world. And so then that's why people are pissed at Mahas, because like it has this like frequency and energy of like anger, and then people use anger to fight anger. And it's like, but dude, like the ultimate way to win every single time is love. And so it's like, how can we like just take a little bit of a step back and like just like slow down and just like present the information a little bit better? And like, I think the best way to describe it is be like, we have to speak from like our personal story. And that's how people relate, is like when we can humanize the information. So like for me, like I stay away from all of these bad ingredients and stuff. And like, you know, if I went out and like educate people on like why we should remove all these ingredients, and I'm like pissed that the companies are doing it, it's not going to resonate as deeply as if I'm like, man, I had cancer dude, I know what it's like to feel sick and to feel like shit and to want to be healthy more than anything in the entire world. And like, you can feel that shift in my energy and how much more of like an emotional reaction that maybe you just had.
Yeah.
Like, we need to humanize it. And then that's how we actually initiate change, is like being the humans behind it that like are so loving and so compassionate on other people's journey and where they're at. And like, we're not trying to take something away from you, but like, we're trying to like do the best we can because we know and we've been through this and this was our experience.
Yeah, man. It's so tough because the anger energy is addictive, and it's kind of mob mentality. You know, like one person's angry. Why is that person angry? You know, I kind of want to like, you know, be angry at him. Like, oh, then we're gonna band together and do that. And yeah, man. And then the fear mongering around it. You know, and like, I love all our colleagues in this health space because they educate and stuff. But then there tends to be a lot of fear mongering aspects, and that's just kind of like almost like distasteful in a way now.
It
It's
gives
just kind of
people a
just
reason to argue.
yeah, true.
Yeah.
Because it's emotionally charged, and then usually like the loudest person in the room is heard the most. And usually that's an angry person. You know, it's not like, you know, a loving like gentler, like calmer voice. That's usually like, unfortunately, not the loudest person on social media or whatever anymore. It's
Yeah.
yeah.
Like, this is my challenge, is like, name one person that's ever changed the world out of anger or out of bringing other people down. I don't think you can do it. Like, everyone that's ever actually made like a huge change in the world, what was it out of?
Yeah, love.
Wow. Bob Marley, Jesus, Gandhi,
MLK,
MLK, like all of their message was like totally different. So like, that's my thing with like the Maha movement, is like, I feel like we need to like just come at it from like a little bit different energy. And it's so hard, dude, because like when you're on the health journey, like it should piss you off for a while.
Totally.
Like, I think it's the most fair response to be pissed. Like, I get angry still thinking about like, how can Bayer, a pharmaceutical company, even own Monsanto? Like, that just in itself, like, it makes me mad, because I'm like, people should just see what's going on. Like, of course I'm like triggered and angry by it.
Yeah.
But then like, I need to do some work to like self-regulate before I go like spread this message. And then that's how we actually get it to resonate deeper.
It's tough because we all want to like band behind something. We like being in community as human beings, and it's just like, it's easier to attach to when it's like, rah, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which like, overall, I guess to answer your question, like, you know, I still am hopeful,
Yeah.
you know, about like the moves that, you know, they're making in Maha right now. I think that overall we've done more good than harm, right? Like, I mean, it's like, we're still like, you know, doing some things, chipping away at some things. I think the greatest blessing is that people think about how many more people, dude, like 3 years ago, have woken up to health.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. Because like, before it was just like maybe a select handful of people like talking about it and everyone thinking we're crazy.
It's way more
now. It's like our entire government is talking about it. Everyone's at least aware.
True.
And so that change will come years down the road. It takes a long time for people like on their health journey, because like when you first start awakening to all of it, you're like, this is so overwhelming and so dark and scary and sad. I almost don't even want to believe some of it because that's scary.
Yeah. And it's a lot to take in.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to go 0 to 100 and be sustainable lifestyle with that. You know, it's like easier to take it in chunks. Oof. Yeah, man. I feel you on that. So one of the quotes that we were talking about earlier, which I love off the podcast, is when we were talking about how like, you know, we don't need drugs or alcohol to have fun. And you get so on this health path that like when you have alcohol or drug or something, you realize like, whoa, like that like affected my body like way different than maybe when I wasn't as healthy. And you said you're so high on life that alcohol and drugs bring you down. That's really cool. I like that quote a lot.
Yeah, it's like one of my favorites. It's so awesome because I think anyone that's ever felt that, like eventually you get so high on life that drugs and alcohol don't actually give you the high. They just bring you down.
Because that's how I feel, dude. I feel great. You know what I'm saying? Like normally. And I wish that's like my goal with content and what like everything I do. I want people to feel like this good sober. And we have that ability, bro. Like it's just a society that preaches like, oh, you need this medication, this blah, blah, blah to like feel like this. No, you don't actually. You know, you can feel that naturally. Take six deep breaths in the grass right there. You're going to change your whole like psychology just like that. You know, your physiology. It's crazy, bro.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Thoughts on chemtrails? Do you think they're real? Do you think what's your thoughts on chemtrails?
I guess I don't know what would be the difference between like chemtrails and the weather modification. Like I kind of am, I guess, just viewing them as one and the same,
yeah.
Right? Which like we know that like the weather modification is 100% real. Like an example, like I live in Idaho. You can go to idahopower.gov and like go look at the program that we have. It's called cloud seeding. That's the word.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what they're doing is they're spraying
aluminum,
a certain chemical, that it's
strontium.
basically becomes like a silver iodide, I think is the chemical that is giving off to create the clouds. But then if you go like look into how silver iodide is made, it has to be a reaction with aluminum oftentimes, not really like high heat. And that's what disperses those like silver particles, which they say are like harmless, but it's like the process of making it is probably spraying a lot of chemicals in the sky. So it's like very obvious to me that like you can just go look outside and like those are not natural clouds, and it's being spun up as like we're just cloud seeding. And the reason why they want to do that is to make more water and runoff and like more snowpack in the winter. So like in Idaho, for example, like this is what I've looked into, so I can speak to this from what I know, is that they only run it from I think like December to March. November to March, so like during the winter, because what they're trying to do is like, place more clouds and cloud seed to then have more snowpack to then be able to have more like water in the reservoirs and then be able to like control the water systems a little bit more. But man, I just look at that and I'm like, dude, it's every evil movie ever. The more that you mess with Mother Nature, the more that it like gets angry at us.
Yeah.
And then the example, when we were talking about this earlier, is like Montana bans it, and they were the only state in all of the Rockies this year that had like sufficient snowpack. It was still a light year for them, but they had like sufficient snowpack. And in all of us, it's like, okay, the whole goal of what they're saying is to increase snowpack, and it clearly didn't work. This is the worst snow year.
It's insane, dude. It's insane. Like the reason behind why they do this, is it because of climate change? Is that like...
Yeah, I think that they're just trying to create more water. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I mean, we have desalination, like we could use the ocean's water on our aircraft carriers in the Navy. Like all of that's desalination. That's how they get their fresh water. So
that's cool.
We have technology. Like we don't need to be doing this.
I completely agree. I think it's going to backfire big time. And there's been, some stuff I haven't looked into it enough to speak super confidently on, but yeah, I heard that, on the days that the chemtrails are present, people go sweat in the sauna and they're sweating out like 70% more aluminum on days where they're not present. So there's something weird that's going on for sure. That's all I know. Yeah,
dude. I mean, I made a extremely like viral post the other day about chemtrails, and like so many people were like, I'm in Sweden, I'm in Norway, I'm in whatever. And like they're spraying us like crazy here too. And I've noticed like the increase in them spraying. I've gotten migraines, I've gotten more allergies, I've gotten like a plethora more of like issues, and like that's so sad. It's so sad because like what do we do?
Yeah, well, did you see when RFK got asked this question, what his response was? He went on Dr. Phil, and someone asked him like, what do you think about what's going on in the sky and the chemtrails? And he basically just straight up was like, it's super real. It's not my department though, so like unfortunately I can't do anything about it. And then they asked him, they said, who do you think's doing it? And he said DARPA. And DARPA is like our like defense program in America. And then if you go look into like other technologies that DARPA were behind, this is one of them, but also the COVID vaccine was one of them.
Wow.
And so if you go look into DARPA, please don't kill me. But yeah, if you go look into DARPA, it's like a lot of weird technologies are behind DARPA. And that's who RFK just flat out said, like he thinks that's who's involved in like all this cloud seeding and chemtrails. Yeah.
Whoa, good to know. Yeah, if you want to research that further, do it on DuckDuckGo and not Google, because Google's going to feed you some really filtered BS. It's crazy, bro. It's sad. Speaking about corruption, dude, we know how corrupt the FDA is, bro. Like, tell me, you've worked hand in hand with them with just medical like device sales and whatnot. Like, dude, tell me about that.
Yeah, I had some really eye-opening experiences. I was in medical device sales after college for 6 years, worked in the operating room and neurosurgery. So I saw a lot of like really cool stuff. I saw many spine surgeries, and then later on went into a procedure that's called deep brain stimulation surgery.
Whoa.
And and it was for patients with Parkinson's to like help with their tremors. It's like the ultimate biohack is what I call it. It was actually like a really beautiful surgery, and really helped people, the brain one. But I learned so much because I had to work hand in hand with the FDA, and I was living in Washington at the time, and I was 23, and like basically I was in charge of starting a business in my own territory. And so I was, 23 years old and negotiating nationwide hospital contracts and pricing and stuff.
Millions.
Yes.
Wow.
And you learn so much about like, okay, the hospital approval systems, and we have to submit all of our FDA paperwork and what we've done. And so I was in charge of like submitting all of our paperwork and the studies and the research that we had on certain devices. And there's this really interesting thing in the FDA that's called a 510K clearance.
Okay.
And it's this weird loophole that happens in the FDA where, as a medical device company, you can just say that like this product has never actually been tested in humans, but it's really similar to this product over here, and that product has been tested in humans. So therefore, we're just going to apply for this process that's called the 510K clearance process. And then you don't actually have to do any studies on your own product because it's similar to another product that exists. And it's like this weird loophole that exists in the FDA where you don't even have to have like human safety data. You can just like submit it and say, yeah, it's pretty similar to this other one here. Because the FDA got like too overrun, like the technological boom was so massive that they couldn't keep up. So they were like, we're just going to make this thing. If it's similar to this over here, just submit it through this 510K clearance process. But what companies started doing is getting really smart and taking advantage of that loophole. So everyone just started submitting shit to 510K clearance because number one, you don't have to do the studies. You don't have to spend the money. And then two, you're basically going to get an automatic approval if it's even like somewhat similar to another device on the market.
So the FDA approves a company, a medical device company, to like, because it's associated with a similar product that they can just slip right on in, and it can be never studied on humans, but yet everything's approved about it just because it's similar.
Correct. I can give you an example of like what happened when I was in spine surgery. Is there was this new technology that came out that was called an expandable cage. And so like if you think about the spine segments and the disc, like the disc is in between the bones, right?
Yeah.
We would go in, we'd remove the disc, and then you'd stick a cage in there because if not, the bones would collapse on top of each other. So it was just like to keep the height of the disc space. And then what happened is this technology came out called the expandable cage. So you could put it in like really small and thin, and then you could expand it inside to like jack the bones apart again and like create that height. And so it was really cool. And this one company came out with it, and then everyone started using it. So then all the companies were like, oh, we need to go create an expandable cage because now that's what the market has shifted towards. And everyone just applied for this 510K clearance, and then all this, but no one had actually like studied it. And so then all of a sudden these cages started like collapsing, and the expansion devices didn't work, and people just had jacked up spines, and people's like, it would collapse or spit out. And like it can be super dangerous because it's spitting out towards your spinal canal and stuff. And like, dude, we just saw so much of that where like device failures or people going wrong and like experimenting on humans because of this process.
Oh my God. That's horrible, bro. That's horrible. And it's all because of money and, not enough funding in the FDA. And, we were talking about it earlier with like, if the FDA approves something, it's almost like, oh, it might be a red flag, honestly, if FDA approves it.
Yeah, it doesn't mean much is the unfortunate part. Like saying it's FDA approved, like it's so hard to even know what it means.
Yeah.
And like the example that we were talking about earlier too, like the example in the food industry is the GRAS approval. So it's like generally recognized as safe. It's kind of like the same process where you don't actually have to like study it in the FDA. You just basically like submit to the FDA our own studies that we did as the company, and the company, we're saying it's generally safe, so let's just submit it under this process, and then technically it's FDA approved when the FDA didn't even look at anything besides an industry-funded study that we did as the company.
Extremely biased.
Yes.
Yeah. Funded by your own company.
Right.
Oh my gosh. Bro, what?
So I always talk about the supplement industry, and like the supplement industry, none of it is FDA approved. So FDA does not regulate supplements, which I think can be a really good thing, but it also can be like the bad part about it is like anyone can go put whatever they want in a supplement, and there's no one to like say otherwise.
Yeah.
So that's why you see counterfeit supplements on Amazon all the time, and you don't know to trust. And
it's similar to peptides too, because like, it's a gray market, so you don't know the purity of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
necessarily. But yeah, supplements are even worse because they're so mainstream that like it can say this on the ingredient label, but is it that?
Yeah.
Oftentimes you don't know. And once again, it's almost like cheap ain't good. Good usually ain't cheap. You know, so
that.
like if you're spending $15 on a supplement, you're probably getting a lot of fillers and heavy metals and something that doesn't have any COAs at all. So buyer beware.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. How do you feel about if the supplement industry was FDA regulated?
I think it would just make everything uncreative. Like I think it would almost like destroy the creative process because then you don't have the freedom to like create new things. So everything takes so long to get FDA approved. And like there's a stat that basically says in order for something to become like the standard of care, so you could have like a really awesome breakthrough technology, it takes 17 years on average in the medical system for people to actually adopt it. Dude. And so that's the issue of like running things through the FDA is like we're just constantly behind the times of this like, you know, these advancements.
Yeah.
So I think it would kind of just like destroy the creative process and the freedom in the supplement industry. Mm-hmm. But it is like, it's not to say that it's totally not FDA approved because like our manufacturing facility will still have FDA regulators that come by, that check in on things, make sure they're cleaning the equipment properly, stuff like that. It's just that each individual supplement is not FDA approved. But
Understood.
the FDA still has their hand in it where like if you're working with a manufacturer, the manufacturer has to have some certifications and they, you know, the FDA can stop by unannounced whenever they want and make sure they're cleaning the equipment properly. And like, that's happens to us multiple times where like an FDA person will stop by and make sure that we're doing things okay.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we like that regulation.
Exactly. So like that level of it, I actually think is a good balance.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. How do you feel about peptides? That's such a hot topic now, bro.
I know.
You know, it's kind of tough. You gotta like be careful with what you say, but yeah, how do you feel about it?
I have never personally used them.
Okay.
I think that my thoughts as of now is like injecting yourself with something just feels wrong.
Yeah.
Like we don't need
scary.
It feels like we're relying on something outside of ourselves over and over and over and over again. And like this is what I kind of summed up is like in like the 1960s, right? Like doctors were advocating for smoking. Like doctors literally were like, you should smoke. It's good. It's healthy for you. And everyone just like listened to it. And then the people that started speaking out about smoking were like considered crazy.
Right.
They were like, no, my doctor says it's fine. And like, I just like look at like all the injections that is happening, whether it's like vaccines, peptides, GLP-1, all of it. Yes. Yeah. Like I'm like, we are relying on injections to like make us healthy now and to live. And it's just like, I just can't get behind that.
Yeah.
And so maybe sure there's some like unique cases, or if you have cancer or have disease or like something like that where like maybe a peptide could be beneficial, then great. But to just like go out and like just again try to be obsessing over like optimizing yourself with peptides and fucking injecting yourself with 10 shots every day seems so unhuman.
Yeah.
It's almost like we're constantly relying on something outside of ourselves to heal us, when it's like, when are we all going to realize that like we have been the ones that we're waiting for?
Totally. I mean, and that's the American way, the quick fix.
Yes.
You know,
it seems like another way of that to me. A quick fix.
Yeah. Yeah. Instead of a pill, now it's in a syringe.
Correct.
Yeah. I get it. I think, and it's such a nuanced topic. And once again, if you don't have your sleep dialed in, your food, your relationships, your stress management, none of this matters. And any supplement, it doesn't matter. Like you can't, out train a bad diet or, out stress management, horrible sleep. It's like you got to have your foundations in place for sure. It's interesting because, some of these peptides have been studied for a few decades now. So we do have some knowledge of some of these. Now there's new ones every day, it seems like, to be honest. But I definitely have seen cases where BPC 157 has like healed things that people have tried for so long to heal, whether it's naturally or through PT or through both or doing all the things. And yet, that for some reason BPC like really helped them. So, and I have to be so careful because I have a lot of like young men follow me and they like ask me about this. I'm like, guys, y'all are at like your peak health right now. Like you don't need to be injecting shit in you. But like, for instance, my stepdad, he's in his mid 50s and has had like did a lot of football and messed up his knees and stuff. And I'm like, you should probably consider like BPC 157. He's not also the type to do PT every day and stuff like that. So it's like, him prioritizing his sleep and food and all that is kind of not necessarily out of the question, but it's not going to be a full priority. So it's like,
Agree that there's a certain use case for them. I think the issue is like we're in a TikTok craze of peptides.
Totally.
Where, like, everyone's now wanting to like do this thing to optimize. And again, just like constantly seeking like almost an external validation thing.
That quick fix, bro.
Yeah.
It's a quick fix.
So
it's the American way.
It's my issue with that as of now. Do they work? I mean, probably looks hopeful, but like, I don't know. My stance on it right now is like, I'm kind of a mid adopter. I'm not like an early adopter of things. I really wait and like see how it plays out and stuff. And like, I still feel like maybe we just like don't have all the information we need on it. Yeah. So it would be one of my last resort recommendations. As of now, my stance could change.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I'm curious. I think like us healthy individuals, we will live longer than our normal, let's just say 80, 85, whatever the life expectancy is. I really think
76 now.
Jesus.
That's what it is for an American male. 76.
Crazy, bro. And that's with modern medicine. I think that there will be certain things that will allow us to live longer. It's kind of cool to see Brian Johnson with his extreme like biohacking and him trying to live to forever or whatever he calls it. And it's really cool that like he's doing this in such a controlled, analytical way. And it's kind of cool because I'll be like, okay, well, I'll piggyback off of what you're doing, but I'm going to let you be the test dummy first on it. And I truly think like if we try hard enough, like with grace, that we can go to like 120, 140 possibly. And I think maybe, and this is not a for sure statement by me, but I think maybe peptides might help in that. And like, let's just say it's like a 10% mover in that space. But
I think so too.
Like I said, it's ones that have been studied for a long time and not these overnight ones that just got popular because famous Jack TikToker said that he takes it. And so
go jump on Reddit.
Right. Yeah. Exactly, bro. So yeah, man, I'm definitely worried about that. And I'm one of the more precautious ones as well, for sure. I would rather other people be the test dummies before me, for sure. I already feel great as it is. So I'm not trying to mess that up with, doing something that like, it feels good now, but then in 20 years I'm cooked.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even with like supplements and stuff that I take, most 99% of them are all whole food form supplements. Like I just tend to always lean towards that and just live the most natural lifestyle that I possibly can, because everything else just seems like I'm relying on something outside of myself to like fix me.
Dude, here's the thing is like, I feel like our food in our country, our air and our water, is so like nutrient depleted or contaminated that like we do need all these supplements. But I feel like in different countries where it's not the case, that like we can live off of just like real food, normal food. But like here, I feel like we need supplementation because, our mango, which used to have 400 times our daily value of potassium, now only has 50% or whatever, just throwing that out there. But like, I feel like we are kind of working on an uphill battle in America, especially. And yeah, it's just interesting. So
it's like the example of like the Italian guy that like eats pizza, smokes cigarettes, and lives till 100.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, kind of a little beer belly or whatever. Yeah, tan as fuck. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And yet we have like a biohacker that lives only like 70, and is like tried so hard.
100%. And that's where like I look at that, and I'm always one like to be really like have a perspective on things and like take a step back and just look and observe. And when I look and observe of that, I go, okay, clearly something's different. Yes, it's the food that's different too, but I do think the biggest thing that we're going to start realizing is how much the emotions affect our health and our longevity and lifespan. And the more work that I've done, the more that I recognize that. And that's kind of why I said earlier, like, I think there's a huge emotional piece to causing cancer and disease and all of that. And so I think like the more that I've been in this health space, I think that's going to be like the thing that we realize is the most powerful. And that's why the Italian guy can smoke cigs and be in the sun and drink wine and eat pizza, is because he just like didn't give a shit. And he just like lived his life to the fullest and didn't stress so much and didn't worry so much, and like he expressed his emotions and felt more free as an Italian man to do that versus an American man and they hug and kiss each other like as guys over there, and it's not weird. And it's like, dude, it's all of that. Like it all comes back to that. And in fact, like Harvard just kind of proved that. I don't know if you saw that. They just came out with it was an over 75-year study where they tracked people for 75 years and ranked like what was the key metrics of longevity. It wasn't food and nutrition. It wasn't like how much money you make or finances or anything, but it was the quality of your relationships. The number one thing was quality of your relationships. Huge. Of why you could possibly live the longest.
You were saying all this, and I'm thinking of that Italian grandpa, and I think that community and connection are two of the other bigger factors too of why that, we would say unhealthy person is living to 100, and I think because they're always around people. They know that everybody in their village and their little area, their little town, they say hi to each other every day. They have accountability, they have connection, and I think that we miss that a lot here because we're so go, 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 go. We got to build a business. We got to set up our foundation for our family. We got to do this. We got to beat the Joneses, and it's so like fast paced, always going, like never being present, like always in the future. And it's just so rushed. And like, that Italian grandpa has made $40,000 for the past 60 years and doesn't care, like vibing about the vibing, bro, vibing on the beach with his wife that he's had for 60 years, and like, so cool. Like, they do have it figured out in a way, which is really cool. I really love that.
Yeah, I think like to sum it up, it's like all ancient scripture, no matter the religion or anything. Like I think what it all points back to as humans of like what we seek and desire and want more than anything is to feel loved. And so that's why like the more that you have community, the more you feel loved, the longer you're going to live. Because we also have research that shows the opposite, where like feeling lonely is equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes a day.
Yes.
It's worse for you than being obese, like all of that. Again, like the emotional stuff, I think, is where all the breakthrough research is at. And so the more that we can shed light on that and awareness to that of like, yes, do the basic stuff. And like, we know we've kind of like exposed so much of the corruption around food and nutrition and how important that is and how that affects the body. But I think we're just like scratching the surface on like how much the emotions affect the body. And so that's like what I'm leaning into the most right now.
Wow. It's everything, dude. It's really everything. When I get into like workflow states that I like kind of like cut everybody off, I don't feel the best. Even though I got the most done, the business is going to thrive more because I did all these things. But yet when I go hang out with my friends and go play beach volleyball for an hour, that 1 hour I felt way more endorphins and dopamine than I did for 3 days of getting in that like productivity hole, if you will. It's crazy, bro. Yeah. It's everything, dude. I mean, humans, bro, we're just meant to like be in the sun, eat fruit naked and chill.
And love each other.
Yeah, bro.
We're hippies, but that's the real deal. Because again, once you feel it, you know what it likes to like feel that sense of like peace and joy and presence. Like you can't unfeel that and unlearn that experience, and you go, dang, this is how I'm supposed to live. Like the second you get a taste of it, you can't go back.
Yeah. I mean, dude, honestly, that's why I like traveling to Central America so much, is because I feel a lot more community and nature. Really, those two things are just, people are more connected to the land and they have each other to rely on, and they're not caught in the rat race, and it just feels so much more connected. I feel so much more connected with them and
when
the earth.
You're in Nosara and like all of a sudden you're at the beach at sunset and the whole entire town, you look to your left and right and everyone's there and you're like, dang, everyone comes to watch the sunset.
Such a vibe, bro.
It's the best.
Yeah, it's the best, dude. Yeah, we all pause for the nature's like greatest show. Yeah. So freaking cool, man. Dude, what's your favorite product that you have? Kona.
Honestly, I can share about our newest product because not a lot of people talk about this, and I feel like I really want to shed light on it. It's called astaxanthin.
Okay, I've heard of that. Yeah, that's for eyes, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So there's a ton of benefits from it, but that was our latest product that we launched called astaxanthin.
Okay.
It's a beta carotenoid compound, which is just it's a colorful compound, right? So it's the reason why salmon are red and pink. So that's where it's found, is like in salmon.
Okay.
And so astaxanthin is this colorful compound that gives wild-caught salmon their color. And the reason why they get this beautiful color is because they eat the algae that it comes from.
Okay.
And where astaxanthin like really shines is it's a green algae that then turns red. So it starts as a green algae, and then the sun hits it, And then what happens is it goes through this process to protect itself, where it turns this like beautiful, deep, dark red color
produces
because like
melanin.
nature's wisdom.
Whoa.
And it produces like all of these nutrients from it, and the salmon eat that.
Sick.
And this is what fuels the salmon's journey. So if you know like anything about salmon, like they swim all the way to the west coast on the Pacific Ocean from every river in America, thousands and thousands and thousands of miles. And the reason why astaxanthin is like fueling their journey is because they store it in their muscle belly. So that's why it's red, because we eat the muscle meat and it's red. So they store that in there because it's such a powerful compound at reducing like oxidative stress and helping with endurance. And then that's why they also know it's like such an important compound to them that they pass it along to their eggs. That's why salmon eggs are also red.
Whoa.
It's because they give their babies all of that astaxanthin for them to then like thrive and nourish. So again, like when I think about like formulating supplements, I always look to nature and like what are the most powerful compounds in nature. And I think astaxanthin is one of them that we're like just scratching the surface on. But now I think it's like really under talked about in the health world because there's over 82 human clinical trials on astaxanthin for skin health benefits. Because again, you think about like its role in nature is to block UV rays, and that's why it turns red. And so like I always recommend it to people that get sunburnt easily and stuff, like take astaxanthin. It's 6,000 times stronger of an antioxidant than vitamin C.
Wow.
So it's the most powerful antioxidant that we know of. I think it's really, really cool. So that was our latest product to kind of like really go after this longevity space a little bit and just learning from nature. And I'm like, dude, I think it's such a cool product and story, and it has like real human clinical data. And they've been using it in Japan since the 1980s.
Okay.
And we harvest ours in Washington State from freshwater. So it's really awesome.
Damn, bro, I'm trying to go fish that salmon, dog.
Yeah,
get some
let's do it.
astaxanthin
Yeah,
out of that,
exactly.
put it in a bottle.
Yeah, because you get like a pretty significant amount of it from eating salmon too.
Yeah.
But we just went direct to the source and algae.
Yeah, you can't eat salmon every day. You can, but you know.
Right, and it's hard now. Like even wild caught salmon has
heavy
more
metals,
contaminants and stuff. But like, dude, I don't worry about it.
I don't either, dude. I mean, it's so funny. Like, salt is a big thing with heavy metals.
Yeah.
Like testing of salt, and like Lineage just did this like extremely bullshit study that I'm about to debunk. They're just like extreme fear mongering about high quality salt and like heavy metals and this. It's like everything is heavy metals. Like, you know, like even natural things like salt from the earth has heavy metals, and that's okay.
Yeah.
You know,
there's this really interesting like correlative study that's been done that I'm hearing a couple people talk about, that the more melanin you have in your skin, the more you can actually get rid of mercury. And it's almost like this adaptive biological response in humans, because if you think about, you live like on the coast or on the ocean, you're going to get more sun, produce more melanin, and you're going to be eating more fish. So like if you have more melanin, you can naturally get rid of mercury in your body more, which is really cool.
It's supposedly the more melanin you have, it's also extremely anti-cancerous as well, which goes opposite to what, you know, the FDA preaches with sunscreen and all that. And oh my gosh, I can go on for days with oxybenzone sunscreen and all that. It's crazy, bro. That's really cool, dude. So when's that coming out?
It's already launched.
Sick.
Yeah. So that's our newest product that we have that I'm really pumped about, because I think we can provide a lot of education for people about like all the benefits. And it's cool that you knew about it for like eye health benefits. There's clinical studies that show that astaxanthin helps like with reducing strain from blue light. And then like just because it's so powerful of an antioxidant that just reduces your oxidative stress load. And if you think about like what blue light is doing, is it's like causing stress on our eyes. And so, it just helps with like a wide variety of benefits. Really good for the mitochondria, cholesterol, even like all sorts of stuff.
Wow. That's so cool. I love that, man. Is there anything that we didn't speak about that you'd like to touch on?
Man, I don't think so, dude. We covered a ton. And like, really my last message would probably just be to like, your symptoms are your saviors. Like that's the number one thing that I always try to leave people with, is the more you can listen to your body and get in touch with yourself, your own body, your own intuition, like drown out the noise a little bit and like go reconnect with yourself. Like that's how you get your power back. That's how you heal. It's how you become your own advocate, and how you like get back in touch with your intuition and your knowing of like what is good for me. And I think we need more of that in a world of AI. We're just like outsourcing our power more of like, I'm going to research this for every little thing about my body. And it's like, dude, just like try not to use it when you can, and just like come back in and like try as hard as you can to listen to yourself.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, bro, you're right. We are outsourcing everything, and we're not even paying attention to the one thing we have, which is our, you know, meat vessel, our body itself, you know? Yeah, dude. Wow. Great. I love that takeaway for sure. Alex, bro, thank you so fucking much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Dude. This is fun, bro. I'm super stoked for everyone to gain a lot of knowledge from this. We covered a lot of different aspects, which is sick, dude. So,
I love it though. That's life, dude.
I'm stoked, bro. And I'm gonna send you a big organic gyro care package. You're gonna love it, dude.
I appreciate it, bro.
Yeah, heck yeah, bro. I want to try that astaxanthin.
I'll get you some. Yeah.
Heck yeah, that'd be sick, bro. Heck yeah. Well, dude, we sent it on 2 hours and 20 minutes, bro.
Nice. That's a big one.